Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt. Showbiz! Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Alundra Villarreal. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. It is Natty Champ Monday, and before we even move, gigantic welcome to all of you beautiful people in Southwest Louisiana. Sincere thanks, our friends at Delta Media who made it happen. AFR now on ESPN 1037 Lafayette, ESPN 1041 Lake Charles. Mwah, mwah. Welcome to all of you. I love you. Thank you for being here. Let's cook and start the only place that we can.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
LSU has played 70 baseball games this year. 7-0. 70 baseball games. Starting against some school from directional Michigan that I'd like to forget, all the way through 30 conference games, the SEC tournament, regional, super regional. Do you start Skeens against Tulane? Super regional, sunshine delays against Kentucky. You finally make it back to Omaha for the first time since 2017. You fall into the loser's bracket after beating Tennessee, and you claw your way out. Incredibly. With 3 wins in 3 days, 2 of them against Wake Forest, a team which had not lost back-to-back games all season, setting the stage for the championship series against the team that beat you the last time you were there. And it all comes down to this after the dramatics of Saturday, the dejection of Sunday, one game, winner take all. There are 2 teams standing. Whoever wins a baseball game today is the national champion. And for LSU, this would be the program's 7th. Can you tell I'm fired up today? Hopefully you are as well. I want to start by going back through Saturday, Sunday, and then getting through to setting the stage for today. We're loaded up, by the way, as well. Former Tiger catcher Micah Gibbs, who was on that 09 team and coached the 17 team. He's with us in 15 minutes. Lewis Coleman, who did what Paul Skeens might be about to do tonight. Back in 2009, he's here in 1 hour. Sean Kelley, the voice of the Gators, will be here. Charles Hanagriff joins us from Omaha. We have got a ton to get to. Let us start, though, with the drama of Saturday night. LSU beats Florida in 11 innings. They rally. Tommy White with the homer in the 8th inning, which was the equalizer. And then in the 11th inning, after Riley Cooper twice with the winning run in scoring position, got LSU off the hook. Cade Beloso did what he has done so many times throughout his amazing LSU career.
Here's the 0-1 to Beloso. Hit high and deep to right field. Giving it a look is Scheichhofer, and this baby's gone! Cade Beloso gives the Tigers a 4-3 lead. Second home run of the College World Series for the LSU graduate who rounds third. 4-3 LSU.
Holy smokes.
The absolute stuff of legend. How could you not feel amazing for Cade Beloso in an era of NIL, transfer portal, all the stuff that you know? There's a kid who was born in Louisiana, went to John Curtis. All he ever wanted to do was play for LSU. And now twice in this College World Series has come up massive. That is the stuff of which legends are made. That is the type of thing that your kids' kids will be talking about in 30, 40, 50 years from now. Absolutely amazing for Cade Beloso. I mean, a game-winning home run in the College World Series. I mean, where does the drama stop? Tommy White a couple of nights before with the walk-off, and then there's Cade Beloso right there. That game itself was defined by so much. Gavin Dugas homered in that ball game, which got LSU its second run of the game after Beloso got a 2-out single in the first to get the first run home. We know what happened. Florida would come back. BT Riopel would homer in the sixth to give Florida a 3-2 lead, and LSU felt like they had wasted so many opportunities to put that game away early after they chased Brandon Sproat behind a brilliant performance by Ty Floyd, and the dramatics came. When you had to have it the most in the eighth inning, Dylan Cruz grounds out on the first pitch, and there's Tommy White down 0-2, fouls off a couple of pitches, and boom, there was a homer from Tommy White, the equalizer, and Beloso would get the game winner there. We got to give a hat tip as well to Ty Floyd. My goodness gracious. Josh Pearson's running catch in the 11th, and or in the 10th rather, and Ty Floyd, 17 strikeouts in the ball game. We were sitting at Don Juan Cigar Bar, T-Bob and I, watching the game with so many of you all. We're preparing to do whiskey and wine. And I'm sitting there in the eighth inning, and they're flashing Floyd's strikeout numbers, and he gets number 15. And then he gets number 16, and I'm like, he just tied Brett Laxton's record. And then he gets number 17. Ty Floyd struck out the side in the eighth inning and was still hitting 96 miles an hour. I was a kid in 1993. I remember watching Brett Laxton beat Wichita State 8-0, complete game shutout, striking out 16, and it was a record that I never thought I would ever see fall. Yet there was Ty Floyd absolutely dealing into the eighth inning, striking out the side, striking out 17 for the game, never letting any of the adversity get him off his spot, and winning that game was so massive. It was so massive because you knew what was looming you knew what was looming on Sunday. You had to win game one behind Ty Floyd because the pitching advantage shifted dramatically to Florida in game two with Hurston Waldrop against what amounted to a bullpen day for LSU. The Tigers got it by the hardest. They needed 11 innings. They needed 17 strikeouts from Floyd. They needed 2 dramatic home runs, but they won game one, which allowed them wiggle room. And as we all saw on Sunday, LSU needed the wiggle room. Listen, watching your team lose 24-4 in a football game would suck. Watching your team lose 24-4 in a baseball game is humiliating, especially on a national championship stage. But as much as that sucked, Jay Johnson 100% did the right thing. And we got to keep some things in context here. Number one, the reason that I was so fearful of the Sunday game was Hurston Waldrop. Y'all saw him, and if that was the first time you saw Waldrop, you may not think much of him because LSU chased him after 2 1/3. And I wouldn't fault you for that. But Hurston Waldrop throws a split finger, which, as you heard detailed on the broadcast, is something that not many pitchers in the world throw a splitty. It is very deceptive, and it is nearly impossible to hit. You just have to lay off of it because it's never a strike. And LSU laid off of that pitch and ran Waldrop's pitch count up into the third inning, into the 80s, and they touched him up for a run in the first, 2 in the second, and it looked like they were going to roll, like it was going to be LSU's day. And then a literal physical anomaly happened. If you haven't seen this, MLB Pipeline tweeted this. The home run that Ty Evans hit that left the yard for a grand slam was a 51-degree launch angle. In the StatCast era, since that technology has existed, no major league home run has ever left the yard. There has never been a major league home run in the StatCast era with a launch angle of 51 degrees. Ever. As a matter of fact, Major League Baseball batting average on balls with a 51-degree launch angle so far this season. In Major League Baseball, the batting average is .014. Ty Evans hit a pop-up, y'all. That's what it was. The kid hit a pop-up. A 51-degree launch angle is a ball that goes straight up the chute, and your shortstop, third baseman catch it right there. That ball left the yard. Ty Evans is a strong kid, and you had 37-mile-an-hour wind gusts, which that thing just carried and carried and carried. And at that point, Jay Johnson did the exact right thing. After Jordan Thompson's throwing error, allowed an 8th run to score, giving Florida a 5-run lead. He said, let me go with whoever I have down there, my up 10, down 10 guys. So Bryce Collins, Blake Money, Christian Little, Sam Dutton. Just get me to the finish line, get me to tomorrow, because I know I got a loaded gun tomorrow. I got plenty of bullets in the chamber to win a baseball game tomorrow, and I like my chances much better with a loaded gun tomorrow than I do trying to claw my way out of this hole today. So Jay Johnson, in a sense, waved the white flag when he was down 5, and that wasn't a terrible decision. It was the right decision for LSU to do to set themselves up for the best chance today. So today there's a lot of questions. Is Paul Skeens available? If he is, how do you use him if you choose to use him? Do you catch Milazzo or Travinsky? There are a lot of very keen decisions that Jay Johnson and his staff are going to have to make that are going to help determine a national champion tonight. And we're going to talk about it all here over the next 3 hours. We're glad you're with us. Our show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. I want to remind you, if you're at the store and you see the camouflage boxes of the aluminum bottles of Bud Light or Budweiser, remember, those are in connection with the Folds of Honor program. Folds of Honor funds scholarships for the children of servicemen and women who have died in the line of duty. There is maybe no more admirable charity that they could be affiliated with, and Budweiser, Bud Light have been affiliated for 13 years now and have donated more than $21 million to Folds of Honor. So if you see those camouflage boxes, keep in mind every purchase proceeds go to Folds of Honor. There's a QR code on the box and on each bottle that'll tell you more about it. Drink easy in Louisiana when you're watching the national championship game tonight. Grab an ice cold Bud Light. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk to former Tiger catcher Micah Gibbs. Micah, of course, was the starting catcher when LSU won its national championship, its last national championship in 2009. And Micah Gibbs was a member of LSU's staff in 2017 when the Tigers fell to these Florida Gators in the championship series in Omaha. So we'll get some perspective from Micah Gibbs when we return on AFR.
AFR.
If you're heading home tonight to watch the Tigers in the national championship game, swing on into any of the 60 area Rouse's supermarkets. You can always go to Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com to see specials and other deals like that. But right now, just get into Rouse's. You want chips and dips for tonight's ball game? Rouse's. You want some ice cold beer, drinks for the kids or for the whole family? Rouse's has got you. You're going to get to home to watch the game because it's an early first pitch at 6 o'clock, so you don't want to fool with cooking. Don't worry about it. Rouse's has got you covered as well. They got grab-and-go, hot and ready meals at their kitchen there. If you want to go to the meat market, to the seafood market, they got grab-and-go, boiled and fried seafood. They got a great salad bar, sushi, literally any kind of food, grab-and-go you want for the whole family. They've got it at Rouse's. You want something sweet, go to the bakery. You need flowers, go to the floral department over there. And anything you need when you're making groceries, you'll find it at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's. This feels like home.
Get 3.99% financing at Corvell Toyota in Opelousas on select 2023 models. And we also have a large selection of pre-owned inventory. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
There it is, the extra mile. on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Here's the stretch by Coleman and the pitch. He struck him out, and the Tigers have won the 2009 National Championship. What a great effort in this ball game by the LSU Fighting Tigers. They got ahead 4-0 and then fell behind, then came back to win it.
The great Jim Hawthorne on the call. It was 14 years ago when LSU last hoisted the national championship trophy. They'll look to do it for the 7th time in program history tonight. Of course, Micah Gibbs was on the receiving end of that pitch from Lewis Coleman that night in Omaha 14 years ago, and Micah Gibbs is good enough to join us here for a couple of minutes. Micah, we appreciate you, man. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Man, it's my pleasure. I would assume you're still following the team. When you hear that, what kind of feelings, emotions, nostalgia kind of brew within you?
A lot of excitement. Kind of remember blacking out there when I went and tackled Coleman. Just kind of went back to the old Texas high school football days, I guess. But super excited for those kids. Know a good bit of them, most of the hitters, and just really excited for them and hoping to get it done tonight.
Man, look, you were, as I mentioned, a player on that 09 team, and then you were on Paul Maneri's staff in 2017 when you all went back there and lost it. How does it contrast being on the field and being in the dugout?
I'll tell you one thing, it's way more stressful as a coach, a lot less sleep. As a player, I mean, you're having the time of your life around all your best buddies, and most of us all still talk today. There's so much more game planning and so much more out of your control on the coaching standpoint. But for those kids, I know they're going to be loose and they're going to go out there and have a lot of fun.
Micah, so much of the conversation there's a lot of talking points. Let's kind of go through a couple of them, because a lot of these you've experienced personally as both a player and a coach. I want to delve into it. Number one, look, the loss last night was, it was 24-4. It sucked. I mean, there's no other way to say it. How, as a player, do you react to something like that? Off the top of my head, I don't remember a specific game when you played where it might have been that one-sided, but I'm sure if there is one, you'd remember it. So how do you think those players reacted to that loss?
I mean, they're just going to flush it as soon as possible. I actually go back to 09. It wasn't 24-4 by any means, but that second game, which also we won an extra inning game in game one. So we go to game two and we kind of get just completely dominated by Taylor Youngman with Texas. And it was one of those things where it was very deflating, but at the same time, you're playing for the national championship the next day. So if you can't get up and kind of turn the page, then you're playing the wrong sport. And I know our whole team in 2009, we all got together that night and we just said, hey, we get one game for the national championship. If someone would have told us that before the season started, we would have taken that every day.
Yeah. the flip side of it is, in 09, you all had won the first game and lost the second game. In 2017, when you were a coach, you all, of course, lost that first game to Florida. Both games were just extremely close and had their moments. What do you recall? Maybe how would you compare and contrast what it felt like after the loss in Game 1 in 2017?
Yeah, so that was a game. I know we kind of same situation as this year. We were coming out of the losers bracket, and Florida definitely had the pitching advantage, especially in Game 1. It was a real tight game, and I remember the first few innings being super, super tight. I don't think anybody scored any runs, and we felt like we were there the whole time. We're like, man, if we can just get this first game, this would be huge. We'd be in the driver's seat, and it'd be awesome. We didn't quite pull it out, and it was definitely pretty devastating, but came back in Game 2 and gave it our all, but fell short.
Yeah, and you felt like that after Game 1, you had the pitching set up right, because you could go Poche, Lang, Game 2 and 3, but then we all remember what happened with the runner's interference on Jake Slaughter, and it just didn't work out, unfortunately. Tigers are hoping for a different result here tonight. Micah Gibbs is our guest, former Tiger catcher and assistant coach. Jay Johnson has a couple of decisions to make here that are pretty pivotal. The one that everyone is asking about is what to do with Paul Skeens. So, look, you caught Lewis Coleman in that College World Series where he pitched games 1 and 3 of the championship series. Do you remember, Micah, what those conversations are like? And then obviously look in 2017, the decision was made not to bring Lang back on short rest, on 3 days rest in Game 2. What goes into those conversations as a player and as a staff?
Yeah, I think every year it gets more and more difficult. I was actually just talking to Brett Laxton here, and it's funny from when he was playing to when I was playing to coaching and on, how much more difficult these decisions get because so many more people get involved. There's so much more money on the table there when the draft is coming around for Skeens. And it's just one of those things where with Coleman, there was never even a question. He was like, hey, I'm taking the ball if we have the lead and we're finishing this thing. And a lot of it too was because he turned down the draft the year before to come back. And I remember that being a pivotal point for us and saying like, he's coming back, like we're winning this whole thing. So even from that point after the 2008 season, we're like, we're going to go win this thing because Lewis is coming back and that's everything we need. It just makes it so much more difficult now with the draft and how recruiting is, NIL. You just got to make sure you make the right decision for the kid and because it can affect the recruiting process for years to come.
So can you please elaborate a little bit there? Because I think that is the lost part of this whole conversation, Micah. Can you elaborate a little bit on the recruiting process for years to come?
Yeah, so if you have all these kids that are watching tonight, that they're either in the transfer portal, they're in high school, any of that stuff, and they're watching this game, and they love the atmosphere, all that stuff, but that was one thing we've always seen with other schools in the SEC. You see some places where guys are throwing a ton of pitches, they're throwing a ton of breaking balls, coming back on short rest, and it's actually hurt them in previous years in the recruiting process, and that's always something that you have to kind of take into account. So what you hope as a coach is that the player, the advisor or agent is coming out and saying like, hey, let's go win a national championship, whatever you need.
Micah, do you think that, and obviously you're not there, so that obvious caveat, do you think we might see Paul Skeens in some capacity tonight?
I think you absolutely do if the situation comes about. I think it's going to look a lot like Lewis Coleman in 2009. If I had to guess, if eighth inning we have the lead, I'd be shocked if he's not at least warming up. But again, like you said, I'm not there. Still talk to a lot of the coaches and guys, but I'm definitely not going to bother him today.
A couple more here for Micah Gibbs, former Tiger catcher and assistant coach. I want to also ask your opinion on the catching position because that's aside from what to do with Skeens, Micah. Do you go Milazzo or Travinski is probably the other biggest decision that Jay's got to make today. So what would you value in this situation? Milazzo's glove or Travinski's bat?
Yeah, so in the game tonight, I think the most important thing is going to be those first 2-3 innings. You have the shadows, makes it really tough to see, so it's going to be a huge advantage for the pitchers. I don't think there's a wrong decision. I do like Milazzo and his framing and ability to get some strikes, especially early on. That's where I do think we have an advantage if we can throw some strikes early on because Caglione can definitely be erratic. So I would definitely, I'd probably lean towards Milazzo, but I don't think there's a bad decision either way.
Yeah. This might be like a little bit more of like a a high level question, but when you mentioned Milazzo framing, and that's something that a lot of people have talked about, what do you notice specifically that, like, if you could explain it to me or like a casual observer, if you're watching Milazzo catch, what's the thing that you would notice, say, oh man, he did a good job there framing a pitch?
Yeah, so I think the number one thing you're always going to want to look for is pitches that are in the zone. Are they keeping them there? Guys tend to take pitches out of the zone, especially breaking balls, change-ups, things that are falling down out of the zone. With Milazzo, he does a very good job of keeping strikes, and then presenting the pitches that are borderline. A lot of times you'll see with a lot of catchers, I know Wake Forest guy did it, where there's a lot of glove movement, and depending on the umpire, that can actually mess them up at times. So I think Milazzo does a really good job at that. And I'm also not sure who the home plate umpire is tonight, so I'm not sure where that advantage lies either.
So that's actually a good point. Like, did you have a strong opinion one way or another on what happened in that Tennessee game last Monday?
Not. Or what are you referring to? With that?
No, it's fine. So in the sixth inning of I'm sorry, forgive me. The Wake Forest game, the one LSU lost, the winner's bracket game. In the sixth inning when Ty Floyd was pitching, the feeling was generally that the zone squeezed on Ty in that inning. Some have suggested, well, maybe what you were just alluding to, framing of pitches could have mattered. I'm just curious your opinion watching it, how it played out.
Yeah, that's where, again, I look at who the umpire is a lot. There's some guys you can kind of influence. There's some guys that have a very specific zone. Some guys call it wider. Some guys call it more up and down. And just getting to know those guys, especially in advance. But yeah, that's where during a game it's really important to have a good rapport with the umpire so that you can have that conversation. And there's been a lot of times where certain things start getting called balls, and as long as you have a good relationship with them, you can start to talk to them and help kind of loosen that back up or get it back in your favor.
You mean rolling your head back and sighing or yelling at the umpire? Probably a good idea.
Yeah, probably not. Usually it's best if nobody knows you're talking to them.
Yeah. Hey, Micah, before you go, man, if I asked you, just give me a thought, like a key in this ballgame. I mean, look, you've played in a game 3 of a College World Series. Like, what are you going to be looking for early, or what do you think is a key in this ballgame tonight for LSU?
Yeah, so like I was saying, those first couple innings, what I'm going to be looking for is plate discipline on our half. How are we seeing Caglione those first couple innings? I know. I think in 2009 as well as 2017 and this year, like whoever scores first usually is winning the game, or at least getting going. I think they all have won the game. So it's really important to get started early on when it's difficult to see, and just getting that getting that momentum, especially with a guy like Caglione. If you can get him up to, which we've done really well the first 2 games, get that starter up to 60, 70 pitches in the first few innings, that would be huge.
He is former Tiger great Micah Gibbs. Hey, Micah, before you go, remind us what you're doing now since you left LSU, for those that maybe aren't familiar.
Yeah, so working with a company called Baseball Performance Lab. Guy Liam Mucklow and I started it back in 2019. It's basically club fitting for baseball, so bat fitting. We do a lot of player analysis, how the bat and player kind of interact with each other. And Marucci's been great. They kind of help pay to get us going to figure this thing out. And since then, we've signed 9 MLB teams and have worked with about probably 100, 150 MLB players.
Pretty awesome. Is there a website where people can, do you do this for kids too, or is it just for high level like MLB players?
No, absolutely. I think we've had a 7-year-old in from Shreveport. That was pretty fun. That was crazy, but
that's really cool.
But yeah. So www.thebpl.com. So thebpl.com. You can also go through Marucci Sports website, and I believe they have a thing about us on there as well.
Very cool. Micah Gibbs, hey man, we always appreciate the time. Thanks for spending a couple of minutes to catch up here, bud.
Absolutely. Thanks, Matt.
All right, man. Be well. Micah Gibbs, great former Tiger, part of that 2009 championship team, was really a guy who made his money as a defensive catcher. Now, he had a good bat. I mean, that 2009 team, he hit 294. But when you're that good defensively, it's like, man, whatever you get offensively is lagniappe. And he did provide 6 homers and was a good bat in a lineup that hit a ton of home runs. And until this year, that 2009 team hit the most home runs by an LSU team until this year. So Great perspective from a guy who's seen it both as a player and a coach who's been in this championship series on the winning end and the losing end. We appreciate a couple of minutes with Micah Gibbs. The other half of that battery, Lewis Coleman's with us in 30 minutes. I want to ask Lewis specifically about getting ready to pitch on short rest in that championship series, which is something Paul Skeens very well could be doing tonight. We'll get to that. We're glad you're with us here on a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, door siding, Relief Windows, and reliefwindows.com. Stick around.
AFR.
Buying or selling, commercial or residential. If you need to sell your home, if you need a realtor, you need Darren James. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. I got to give a giant shout out to my guy, Darren James. You've heard me say it so many times. Darren's on the Wall Street Journal's list of the top 1,000 realtors in America. And maybe that just gets muted because I say it so often, but last week we learned Darren was named to that list again this year, and he was number 54 in the country. Darren James and Associates, brokered by eXp Realty. We're talking about the top 1% of realtors in America. If you got to sell your home, you want an enjoyable, stress-free experience where you get results. Why would you call anyone other than the realtor that sells more homes than anyone? If it's $1 million home or a $100,000 home, Darren James can help. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Everybody in the locker room already forgot about it, really. We do a pretty good job of that, and I think we've only lost, back-to-back games twice this year. So, everybody's going to be, mentally sharp tomorrow, and, we're going to do what we got to do tonight to get our bodies right, and we'll be good for tomorrow.
Dylan Cruz, after LSU's 24-4 loss in Game 2 of the championship series. By the way, tip of the cap to Dylan Cruz. That is now forever Golden Spikes Award winner, Dylan Cruz. I do have some thoughts on Cruz winning the Golden Spikes. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. The game did snowball on LSU, but I think it's the thing about Sunday that was so maddening is the thing you were fearful of, as embarrassing as it was to watch, the thing you were fearful of going into that game was Hurston Waldrop just being a dude. We've gone over this a little bit, but Waldrop right now on the MLB.com top draft prospects and their mock draft, Waldrop is the 20th best prospect in the draft. Kyler McDaniel from ESPN put out a mock draft today. He's got Waldrop going 17 overall to Baltimore. So you're talking about a legit dude. And you faced Waldrop a year ago in the Hattiesburg Regional, and he put you in a chokehold for 7 innings. So that was the fear. Season hanging in the balance. You had to go against Waldrop. Well, you win Game 1. You go into Game 2, and you really think that the key is get Waldrop out of the game early. And y'all, LSU, I know when you look at the final score at 24-4, you think to yourself, man, they didn't have a lot to show for it. But the approach at the plate was so encouraging against Waldrop. Because you got to understand the hardest part about hitting a split finger, and we'll talk to some of the other guys about this coming up, but and Terrio was with us on the pregame show we did yesterday. The hardest thing about a split finger is that it's flat on a flat plane. It looks like a strike, and then it just falls off the table, and you swing over the top of it. So the key is recognizing the pitch and just letting it go, and LSU did a brilliant job of that. Cruz singled, then White struck out to start the game. But then Morgan worked a 3-1 count, so he got him up to a 3-ball count and singled. Remember, Morgan saw him a year ago. Gavin Dugas, again, saw him a year ago on a 2-1 count, got ahead, 2-1, pumped a double in the gap for an RBI. Cade Beloso walked on 4 pitches. Like he didn't face him a year ago because he had the injury, but Beloso's been around a bunch. Travinsky worked a full count and walked. So you were driving up that pitch count, and everybody was seeing really good pitches. Even Joe Bear, who struggled in this College World Series, Joe Bear worked a 2-0 count, got a belt-high fastball. He just grounded it to first. He just missed it a little bit. That happens, but he had a good eye in that situation. My point being, LSU's hitters were really patient against Waldrop, and getting him out of the game was a great sign. Yes, you'd love to come up with the big hit in the big moment. They didn't do it, and it was even Jay Johnson acknowledged it after the game. After the grand slam, you have the bases loaded. You're down 7-3. You've got the bases loaded for Tommy White. It's who you want up. And they bring in Purnell, who's that sort of 3-quarter sidewinder. And they bring in Purnell to get a ground ball. And Tommy White rolled over one and rolled right into a double play, which is exactly what Kevin O'Sullivan was doing, bringing Purnell into the game to face Tommy White to try to get him to roll over one. And he did. He went righty-righty and got him to roll over it. So in any event, it's frustrating because you did the thing you really felt like you had to do on a day where Florida's 2 best relievers were not going to be available. On a day where Fisher and Neely, who both threw over 50 pitches on Saturday, those 2 guys were not going to be available. Getting into Florida's bullpen early was exactly the ticket, and you just couldn't make them pay for it. So that part of Game 2, was disappointing. But nonetheless, what you have shown is your ability to be patient against a really good pitcher, work their pitch counts up. You did the same thing against Sproat on Saturday. Gavin Dugas had an 11-pitch at-bat in the first inning against Sproat. You're going to need to see more of that against Caglione today. Going to get into that bullpen, get an early lead, and give yourself a situation, put yourself in a situation, a one-game winner-take-all, where you have the advantage and they have to be desperate. They have to now make pitching changes based on situation because they need to play catch-up. They maybe need to put a pinch hitter in the game to try to generate some offense. They need to be more aggressive to try to generate offense. That's, if you're LSU, what you want to do. You want to get to Caglione early, and if it is Thatcher Herd starting, You hope he gets you off to a great start, throws up some zeros, and gives yourself an opportunity to have a lead before you pass the ball off. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. Of course, today we welcome our audience on ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette and ESPN 104.1 in Lake Charles. So all of our people there in the 337, go check out our friends at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. A few days left in June. All this month, buy 4 laser hair removal therapy treatments. Get 2 free. You can learn more online, theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. All right, we are going to go, in just a minute, we're going to go through the history of the College World Series finals when it's gotten to a Game 3. What does history say about what's going to happen tonight? We're going to get to that, but right now we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Alabama Crimson Tide.
We're going to go quickly here. Point guard Javon Quinterly, he has jumped into the transfer portal. Meanwhile, on the diamond, third-team All-Big Ten player Evan Slate is transferring into Alabama baseball.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Memphis basketball transfer Chandler Larson, he is committed to the Hogs. Meanwhile, 3-star interior offensive lineman Kobe Branham has committed to the Razorbacks.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Another get-this recruiting weekend for Kirby Smart. 3-star defensive lineman Nnamdi Okboko has committed to the Georgia Bulldogs.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
West Virginia power forward transfer Trey Mitchell, picked the Kentucky Wildcats. Also, the baseball team added Texas shortstop Mitchell Daly through the portal, and 3-star tight end Willie Rodriguez committed to the Cats this weekend.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Bulldogs land a 4-star offensive tackle Jimothy Lewis has pledged to Zach Arnett in the squad.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Lane Kiffin doing work as well. 3-star safety Andy Jaffe has flipped from Ole Miss to Wake Forest. They also get a commitment for 3-star safety Anthony Robinson III, picking the Rebels over the weekend.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Gamecocks added a 3-star running back. Matthew Fuller picked the Gamecocks. Also, the baseball squad there in Columbia added Campbell assistant coach Joey Holcomb to the coaching staff.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Jacksonville State pitcher A.J. Causey is headed to Knoxville. Of course, Tennessee replacing the bulk of its rotation from this year, especially with this news, as righty Chase Burns, the hard-throwing reliever and one-time starter, has entered the transfer portal with a heavy lean to LSU.
Texas A&M!
Aggies added a 3-star interior offensive lineman, Cohen Eccles, committed to Texas A&M. Meanwhile, they are mourning in College Station as well. Their defensive end coach, Terry Price, passed away over the weekend at the age of 55 due to complications from cancer.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
And 3 commits on the gridiron this weekend for Clark Lee. Defensive lineman Martrice Dillard committed, as did athlete Tate Hamby and 2025 athlete Carson Lawrence. There you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. You know where to find them. GCOPnet.com, GCOPnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Offices in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, North Shore, and Lafayette. If you need office equipment, you need Gulf Coast Office Products. They are the official office equipment provider of the LSU Tigers, the Raging Cajuns, the Saints, and the Pelicans. Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. In 15 minutes from right now, Lewis Coleman's going to be with us. 2009 SEC Pitcher of the Year, World Series champion with the Kansas City Royals, and the guy who started Game 1 of the 2009 Championship Series for LSU, and then came back and closed Game 3. Remember, it wasn't just that he started and closed. He pitched 6 innings on Monday. 6 innings and got the win on that Monday against Texas. Did not pitch Game 2 on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday came back and closed. Got a 6-out close in Game 3 to win the national championship. So what goes into making those decisions? How might Paul Skeens feel? And what capacity could he be used? We're talking about all that with former Tiger great Lewis Coleman in about 15 minutes. When we come back, I want to delve into some of the history of the College World Series finals when it goes to a Game 3. We certainly know one piece of that history, which was what LSU did back in 2009, winning Game 1, losing Game 2, the exact situation that LSU finds itself in right now. Can they replicate? We'll get to that in just a little bit. Glad to have you aboard with us here. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. I should have known. When I saw Gordon on a plane to Omaha on Saturday, I should have known that this was coming. Gordon found his way over to Rocco's and the 8s. We tell you all the time. His phone number, 888-8888. Well, Gordon purchased 8,888 rally shots at Rocco's, completely driving up LSU's record, and in so doing also donating thousands of dollars to local food banks. Of course, if you're not familiar with the Rocco's Jell-O shot, a portion of those proceeds go to local food banks in those communities. So Gordon making that type of commitment, buying 8,888 rally shots. Not only is that his phone number, 888-8888, but of course, LSU baseball jersey number 8 is passed on via the tradition that we all know. So, great community partners always and a great Tiger. Get Gordon and get it done.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah. You don't know what you're doing. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. And cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. Where personalities clash and chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like it's Wall Street.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
And here's the pitch. Swing and a ground ball to Mook. He's got it. Thank you and good night. That's it. He throws him out at first, and the Tigers are the champions of collegiate baseball.
The great Jim Hawthorne, a youthful-sounding Jim Hawthorne, all the way back in 1991. That's how it sounded A ground ball to Chris Mook at third. He fired to Johnny Telechia at first. The dog pile ensued. Rick Green was on the bump for the Tigers back in 1991 when they polished off Wichita State 6-3. Tigers would hoist their first national championship trophy that day at Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium. They've added 5 more and are looking to add a program's 7th title tonight if they could beat the Florida Gators. Here was Jay Johnson after the loss on Sunday on how this team is going to bounce back after their Game 2 loss.
We need to get these guys rested, get their bodies underneath, And for us, it's about playing in character. And, when I look at this record of, Florida's 54-16, they do a good job and they make it hard on you. We're 53-17. And if you're 53-17, you've done a heck of a lot more right than wrong. And so we're going to stick to how we prepare and roll it out tomorrow and give it everything that we have. It's one game for the national championship. I think Coach O'Sullivan probably feels great about his team, as he should with the players they have. I feel great about my team with the players that we have.
Should note that a lot of the media, our buddy Jacques Doucet, and Jacques was the first one I noticed, so hat tip there. I know others have mentioned as well. Riley Cooper was not available Sunday in Game 2. Apparently had some type of flu or stomach bug. Stayed back at the hotel, rested, got fluids. Jacques did tweet a bit ago that Riley Cooper was on the team bus. So Riley Cooper is with the team today at Charles Schwab Field, ready to go for the national championship game. And my guess is we will see Riley Cooper at some point in this ball game tonight, be it situational or to close the game. He has been LSU's best bullpen arm, and my assumption is we'll see him and have to see him at some point in this ball game. The College World Series went to this format, the 3-game championship series format back in 2003. And teams that have forced a Game 3 by winning Game 2 are 6-3 in that decisive game, which included Mississippi State, or Vanderbilt's most recent run, I should say. The average margin of victory for Game 3 is over 4 runs a game. Now, Rice had a 12-run win. They won 14-2 over Stanford back in 2003. So that has sort of shaped things a little bit. But if you're curious how this has gone over the years, here you go. In 2003, and so it's the situation that LSU finds and Florida find themselves into, where the teams split games 1 and 2. Back in 2003, Rice did what LSU was trying to do. Won Game 1, lost Game 2, and they came back and blew out Stanford 14-2. In 2006, North Carolina won Game 1 and then lost the next 2. 2008, Fresno State against Georgia. Georgia won the first game and then lost back-to-back nights against Fresno. We all know what happened in 2009. LSU won Game 1, lost Game 2, came back and won Game 3 of the series. 2014, Vanderbilt did the same thing. Vanderbilt won Game 1, lost to Virginia in Game 2, and then came back and won Game 3, which, of course, is what LSU is trying to do. And then a year later, we saw a finals rematch where Vanderbilt won Game 1, and then Virginia beat them in consecutive nights. 2016 is the one that stings for Jay Johnson. His Arizona team won Game 1 and then lost back-to-back games against Coastal. In 2018, Arkansas won Game 1 and then, as we saw, lost consecutive games against Oregon State. And boy, they had Game 3 put away or Game 2 put away rather, with a pop foul that they couldn't handle. And then we've seen it 3 times in the last 4 College World Series. Vanderbilt and Michigan. Michigan won Game 1 and then lost 2 games to Vanderbilt. Mississippi State lost Game 1 to Vanderbilt and then won the next 2 days. And then now LSU and Florida will decide this series tonight with an if necessary Game 3. So more often than not, 7 of the 10 previous times we've seen the team that won Game 2 win Game 3. So the numbers historically in that sense are on Florida's side. However, LSU is one of the teams that we saw win Game 1, lose Game 2, and then come back in and win Game 3. So much of it comes down to pitching, and you're going to have 2 spectacular sophomores very likely on the bump tonight with Thatcher Herd and Jack Caglione. I know everyone's talking about Paul Skeens, and that's what we're going to talk about next. We're going to grab a break, go to SportsCenter. When we come back, former Tiger great Lewis Coleman's going to be with us, and I'm excited about this conversation with Lewis. He pitched in Game 1 and 3 of the championship series back in 2009 and was a guy that had a bit of a rubber arm for the Tigers in that season. So when we come back, we'll talk to former Tiger great Lewis Coleman. It's After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Stick around.
AFR.
Love telling you about Mold Zero USA, mold-0usa.com. And man, with this time of year, it's more relevant than ever with Mold Zero because it's the wet time of year when it rains all the time. And unfortunately, we have things like hailstorms and hurricanes that damage roofs and allow water intrusion. If you have water in your house, might have had water in your house, think you might have, you have mold, if you need remediation work, Mold Zero is the answer. But I want to remind you, it's not just for your home. This is a patented non-toxic dry fog treatment that is going to be more effective and cheaper than many traditional remediation methods and certainly less invasive. They're not coming in to cut sheetrock and pull out carpet. Call Mold Zero, have a conversation with Jim Woodworth. Let him explain this process to you. It's been fully vetted by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. You can read customer and testimonials, see videos. You can see how the whole process works. But the bottom line is if you want a safer, more effective, more cost-effective remediation option, it's Mold Zero.
At Corvette Toyota in Opelousas, I'm happy to say we have vehicles in stock and more coming in at no markup. Don't pay over MSRP. Come on down to Corvette Toyota and choose your new Toyota today. That's Corvette Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Relentless reporting gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit. Recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Jack O'Neill.
Paul O'Neill. Alondra, take a breath. Hit the Paul O'Neill drop.
They're chanting
there
Paul
it is.
O'Neill's name.
We're good. We're good. In for Matthew Musso, that is Alondra Villarreal. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. It is Natty Champ Day, y'all. We're glad to have you aboard with us here, and I'll continue to welcome all of our friends in Southwest Louisiana. Today, our maiden voyage on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and ESPN 104.1 Lake Charles. So many, many thanks to our friends there at Delta Media. So many to name. If I start naming them, I'll get in trouble because I'll invariably leave somebody off. But they know who they are. Did an awesome job to help put this together to make this happen. I am super grateful. And to all of you who are joining us for the first time, or many of you who maybe have listened online or watched online, who are listening to us on ESPN 103.7 and ESPN 104.1 now for the first time, welcome. We're super grateful. Looking forward to a great relationship. You can now hear AFR on the entire I-10 corridor. New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles. If you're on I-10 or anywhere near it in Louisiana, you can now hear AFR. All right. Lewis Coleman is scheduled to join us. Do we have him? Oh, we do. Fantastic. Okay. One of the big questions that we have today, obviously, is what do you do with Paul Skeens? Lewis Coleman lived this back in 2009. He was LSU's ace. He started game 1 of the championship series, and then 2 days later came back and gave LSU a 6-out save. I guess it wasn't a save situation, though, but because LSU was up 11-4, but finished the game, giving LSU the final 6 outs, and Lewis Coleman's good enough to join us here for a couple of minutes. Hey, man, great to have you as always. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me on.
Man, it's my pleasure. We had Micah Gibbs on with us last hour as well, so we talked a little bit about closing out that 2009 national championship. I'm curious today, being that it's another champion's going to be crowned, what it's like for you. Maybe some nostalgia and reliving those memories?
Absolutely. It's always great to win one, and then there was a little bit of a gap between when we won and then in 2000, and it's a very prestigious title to hold, but we're ready for another one. It's time. It's been time. And we're excited for the Tigers and for their opportunity.
Yeah, man, it's funny you say that because I actually talked to Renato last week, and he and Jared Mitchell said the exact same thing. That's like that 09 team has been holding this banner, this mantle for too long. It's time for someone else, and this team is primed to do it. They got 9 innings ahead of them, and Lewis, the whole complexion of a game changes when Paul Skeens pitches. We all know that. Take me back to 2009. I want to talk about what that was like, those really 48 hours from game 1 to game 3, which it's 3 days, but it's a 48-hour span. When you finished game 1, was it always your intention to be available in game 3?
We won game 1, and that is the bottom line. And it kind of left a selfish little bitter taste in my mouth. Last batter I faced, home run. There were a lot of home runs hit in that game. And so from the time that game was over and I was able to get in some air conditioner, that was the only thing on my mind. I was like, we're going to win tomorrow. If we don't win the next game, then I got to be ready for the third game. And it was definitely a priority. And, just the next day when you play catch, it's light and trying to get the muscles moving and get the soreness out. But I'm telling you right now that it wouldn't have mattered how sore I was. The adrenaline, I remember I got chills thinking about it. I remember telling Coach, like after I played catch that day, before the third game. I was like, Coach, I feel better today than I did before the start. It was like 15 degrees cooler, but it felt like it was 40 degrees cooler too. So that helped a lot.
That's pretty incredible. So you mentioned like a light toss day. So that would have been, so y'all played Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This obviously is Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But so you have your light toss day then on Tuesday, the day of the second game. Am I understanding that correctly? Or did you do nothing the day after your start?
Oh, no. I played catch. Like I said, just getting the muscles moving and and I'd already done a run that morning to try and move it all out. And then playing catch, trying to also move that lactic acid and that soreness and just keep the body in motion. And, but like I said, just, 90 feet, not going super far, but just enough to be ready for the next day. But, and we did not know that Taylor Youngman was going to pitch the way he did.
Right.
We were geared to win game 2. And it was just, we're just doing this. We won't need this. And then lo and behold.
Yeah. Sometimes it goes that way. Now, one of the big questions about Skeens in particular right now is, well, yes, this would be short rest. It would be 3 days. But he just came off a short rest outing where he had 4 days rest. At what point, Lewis, do you think it does start to compound and could affect a pitcher?
Over time, yes. But, this being the biggest, here's the difference, is this Skeens has so much more projectability, and he is so valuable. And, I hope that I would have a professional career and be able to go on and play for a long time and whatever. But we're talking, there's two sides to this coin, right? There's generational money that can be made by signing a piece of paper with all the work he's done in the past. And you want to protect that. But at the same time, he signed up to come to LSU to play baseball. And we're not asking him to throw 7 innings. It's like, honestly, I'd leave it up to him and Jay. And what do you want to do? Like, what are you feeling? And how do you feel today? It's a tough spot to be in for both of them because that Skeens wants to throw as many as he can possibly throw. And Jay wants him out there as long as he can be out there. But at the same time, he wants to protect him too because he respects him and he's done a lot for this program.
Yeah. Lewis Coleman is our guest. So, obviously, I asked this question with the understanding, and I'll preface it, say, like, you're not there, you're not on this staff, you're not on this team, but how do you think that conversation goes between coach and player? Like, maybe you could relay for us how the conversation went with you and Paul Mainieri when the decision was made to put you in the game on Wednesday, in Game 3 after having just thrown in Game 1.
I hope that there's a lot of transparency and a lot of honesty. And how do you feel? What do you want? What can you give us? And are you comfortable doing this? And I hope that's the language that's being used. And with me and Coach Mainieri, I remember telling him when he came to me and said, "Hey, we're going to move you out of the closer role. I want you to go back into starting, but we might use you as a hybrid." And I said, "Coach, I'm here. I came back to LSU to finish a job I gave up the Grand Slam in 2008 to send us home. And so I came here to go to Omaha and finish a job. And playing college ball was always a dream that seemed unattainable in high school. And then getting to pro ball. And so going through a lot of valleys and a few peaks in college, like, Coach, I just want I will throw until my arm falls off, kind of being dumb, not smart about it. And looking back, but at the same time, that's how much LSU changed my life, and that's what I wanted. The Air Force being to Paul Skeens, and that's why it was so hard for him to come, and baseball has changed his life because he made the transition. It's just, I just hope they're being honest with each other, and he gets every opportunity that he wants.
That's well said. Do you feel, Lewis, that throwing is, and I remember you and I had this conversation, and you and I talked weekly several years back on the show, and we had this conversation about Zach Hess. Do you remember this? It was 2018, and Hess had the great College World Series in 2017, and I kind of asked the question if you thought that maybe they could use Hess the way they used you in 2009, which was maybe a close on Friday and start on Sunday. And your answer, and I'm paraphrasing, was something of, man, the game's evolved so much even in that less than a decade since then where guys just don't do that anymore. Like, do you ever feel like the way the game was where you could close on a Friday and come start on a Sunday, or pitch 4 times in the College World Series like you did with a couple of starts and a couple of relief appearances? Like, do you feel like that wore your arm down, like just that use in 2009?
No, not at all. I think flexibility has a lot to do with it, and my arm was super resilient, and it bounced back. It always had. It did all the way through my career. It always bounced back. And part with Hess was he was so wiry and full of energy, and it's like this guy is max effort every time. So I felt like, it'd be hard. It might be harder on him, whereas Paul Skeens is this guy. I mean, he is as level-headed on the mound as I've ever seen anybody, and throwing 100, and it looks like he's just playing catch. And like, if anybody could do a hybrid role, I really feel it would be him. And coming out of the bullpen, in my opinion, would be no problem at all for him, just because I just think he has just got a pretty good grasp on or a head on his shoulders that it will not overwhelm him. I think he could do it easily.
Former SEC Pitcher of the Year, Lewis Coleman, just for a couple more minutes. So, and the perspective is so great. So I want to ask then about the game itself. I think you and I both agree, and obviously I would lean more on your experience and knowledge, which is why we have you here. I don't know that I worry about a long-term residual effect of Paul Skeens if he gets out there and throws tonight in some capacity.
No, I agree.
What would be the ideal situation? Would you rather Paul Skeens as an opener, for lack of a better phrase, say, all right, we're going to give you 50 pitches, or we're going to let you get through the lineup twice or something like that, or save him for an if-necessary role at the end of the game?
Perfect world. I want him on the bottom of the dog pile. Don't we all? He deserves it. Yeah. And then at the same time, it would be nice to kind of get him out there, and he's used to the routine of starting, and everyone's got jitters but Paul Skeens, and let's get 2 or 3 scoreless innings and bring somebody else in. But personally, I see him as coming out of the pen, and we can let our starter go as long as he can, but Paul's already sitting down there, and we're watching the game, and he's on the radio, and like, he could be our put out the fire and give us maybe another inning, maybe 2, but he could be a stopper, because I think that to stop the bleeding, stop the momentum, or shut him down, bridge that gap, maybe the 4th, 5th, or 6th, somewhere around in there. But boy, if we get lucky and we get him in the 6th, 7th, and possibly the 8th, or even, I think the bullpen has been unreal. Yesterday, we don't even count that, but they went almost 25 scoreless, something like that.
That's crazy.
They have pitched their tails off, and you don't want to take away from what they've done or say, well, Skeens is our guy today. We've got to use Skeens or we're not going to win. But they've done their part to get us here, and Skeens is the best pitcher in the world. So I want to try to use him. That's what I think I would do, is just try to get him as deep into the game, just so it doesn't put as much pressure on the younger guys. And with Cooper being out yesterday, let's just try to get as much as we can on those back outs if we can. That's what I would do.
Last thing, you mentioned the starters routine, and I'm going along with you, and I apologize. There's a lot of good perspective that I don't have. Is there more benefit to Skeens having been as a starter in a routine all year to starting, as opposed to, all right, we're not sure when you're going to go, and now go get hot and get ready to go in a reliever's role?
That's what I think. Typically, it's hard to bring a starter as a reliever, because it's a totally different mindset. It's a flip of a switch type attitude. But that's where I just really think this guy is a different breed. He can do it. I think he's, like I said, he's more level-headed than just his appearance on the mound, and he just looks so content. And I don't think that it would bother him. Maybe a lot of other people. But look at with Ackenhouse. He started his first start of the year, and you would have thought he's been doing it all year. Right. So, some people just are mentally or just built just a little bit different, and they can just kind of control what you can control. And I think Skeens does that best.
Great stuff, man. Lewis Coleman, former Tiger great, SEC Pitcher of the Year, 2009 national champion. I'm really hopeful that after tonight, we don't have to call you the last one to win it. And hopefully that mantle's passed tonight, man. We appreciate you as always. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. Always enjoy coming on.
Thanks, buddy. That's the great Lewis Coleman, man. You want to talk about a dude that just you can still hear it. I mean, it's been 14 years, and you can just still hear in his voice what it meant for him to play college baseball at LSU and to win a national championship. Like, you heard it. Like, he was pro career be damned. It was just he was all about coming here to win a national championship at LSU. So, phenomenal. Just awesome stuff from Lewis. I appreciate it. And you know what? I have some follow-up. We'll come back to it. Let me knock out a break. I do want to talk about Jordan Thompson as well because I know that's been a big conversation among fans. I want to give you my perspective. We'll do all that as we continue. Many thanks to Lewis Coleman. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Renaissance Hotel and the Watermark Hotel. Two amazing hotel properties, one ownership group in Baton Rouge. The Watermark in downtown Baton Rouge is Baton Rouge's original high-rise. It was the old Louisiana National Bank building. And, of course, the Renaissance Hotel, as they say, in Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet near Interstate 10. The Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown, regardless of what kind of event you're hosting. If it's a business meeting for 12, if it's a wedding reception for 100, if it's a charity event for 500, either the Watermark or the Renaissance can help. Remember, the Renaissance Hotel has 7,000 square foot of meeting space. Their grand ballroom can host as many as 500 people. So the next time you're hosting an event, you're wondering, and where should we go? Call the Renaissance Hotel. Talk to Allison. She's in the business of saying yes. It's at the Renaissance Hotel.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking
after further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Man, thanks again to Lewis Coleman. A great perspective. If you missed it, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. You can book your tee time at golf.breck.org. We'll check it out on demand. Tell a friend. Go to the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Scroll back there to the beginning of hour 2. Just amazing perspective from a guy who was an ace, who pitched in the big leagues, who was asked to do and did what Paul Skeens may very well do tonight, and some amazing perspective there on Lewis Coleman. So if there is any trepidation, you know what it feels like? I don't know if you'd agree with this. It feels like, with respect to throwing Paul Skeens tonight potentially, the greater casualty would be a result of perspective of perception and not reality. Like the optics of throwing Skeens again, it would be like, oh man, you're throwing him twice on short rest. Okay, well, how does he feel? He's a big, strong kid who takes care of his arm better than any pitcher I've ever seen at LSU. He's also built very differently, just physically. I mean, you can see the eye test shows you how differently he's built, and what Lewis alluded to there. So, to get something out of Skeens tonight, I don't think is a far cry. What that is, I think, is the bigger question. My assumption is they are going to start Thatcher Herd tonight, and at some point, look, maybe Thatcher Herd goes and does exactly what Ty Floyd did, and he goes and strikes out 17, and you're up 14-2, and you don't need Skeens at the end of the game, and that would be a dream scenario. Or maybe you're in a 3-2 ball game in the 8th, and you go get the big fella hot. So we'll see how it goes. But that conversation there would make you feel much better about having to go to him if you do. All right, it is after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. I want to talk about Jordan Thompson because that's been a giant talking point among fans over the last several days, certainly. Brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. They are incredible. It started in Morgan City, great local company. Been in business for more than 50 years. Started in Morgan City up to Baton Rouge, west into Lafayette, and all points in between. Port Allen, Livingston Parish, newest location in LaPlace. So, man, you draw a big old circle around South Louisiana, and you got a Shaw Bills near you. No one's going to sell you name brand tires at cheaper prices than Shaw Bills. They got their price match guarantee, and they got the Charlie's dozen, meaning it's a dozen benefits extended to you and every vehicle in your home when you buy your tires at Shaw Bills. ShawBillsTire.com to learn more, to shop tires, to schedule service, to find the location nearest you. ShawBillsTire.com. Heading out on that family vacation this summer, take it to Shaw Bills. ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, where we keep you rolling. So, Jordan Thompson has, unfortunately, picked the worst time to have the worst slump of his career. I don't know that there's another way to say that. Jordan Thompson is 1 for 31 in this College World Series. He's 1 for 31. He is an out in the lineup right now. The best players in the world, including the guy who just yesterday became the Golden Spikes Award winner, who is probably going to be the first or second pick in next month's draft, he had a 2 for 22 slump this year. The best players in the world go through it. It's baseball. Like that, it literally happens to every single player that has ever played this game. You will go through a slump. And Jordan's, unfortunately for him, has come on the biggest stage in college baseball in grand fashion. The thing that I said about Jordan on Twitter and a lot of places before yesterday was the thing that you have to credit Jordan Thompson is, despite the fact that he has really fought it at the plate, he has not taken his struggles at the plate into the field with him. He had been almost perfect in this College World Series. He did kick a ball at second base, but how about a hat tip to Jordan Thompson for his willingness to play a different position when a left-hander's at the plate to alleviate any concerns of Gavin Dugas' shoulder injury. He's a team guy and has been. He started every game at shortstop for 2 years, and it just sucks. If I can give you a parenthetical statement, fans that are crapping on this kid on Twitter suck. You suck. You suck. You say whatever you want about what type of amenities a play. It's irrelevant. He's a college kid playing for your team, and to dogpile on him sucks. I always feel differently about college athletes than I do pro athletes, but that's a random parenthetical statement. What good does that do your team, the guy that's a starting shortstop on your team, to take to social media and dogpile on him? You should be trying to lift this kid up. I mean, trying to win a national championship. Whatever. Either way. But after the game, Sunday, Jordan Thompson kicked 2 balls. He kicked a ball at short. That was a likely double play ball. And that was the inning where ultimately Ty Evans hit the grand slam. And then he made a what were you doing throw past the third baseman, Tommy White at third, which allowed the 8th run of the game to score. I'm not defending either of those plays. The kid kicked the ball and he made a silly decision on a throw. Every player in the history of the game has done it. Unfortunately, he did it amidst an awful hitting slump on a gigantic stage. I'm sure no one feels worse than him. To the point of should Jordan Thompson continue to play in this College World Series? Should he start tonight? Here was Jay Johnson after. First of all, Jay Johnson said definitively Jordan Thompson has started every game for 2 years. Of course he's starting. But here's the other part of what Jay Johnson had to say.
Yeah, I mean, I love Jordan. We wouldn't be in the College World Series, without Jordan and how he's played this year. He's had a tough tournament offensively, but there's been a lot of stories in the College World Series of guys struggle, and then get a big hit for you and make a big play for you. And I think he's a great candidate for that.
That would be brilliant. We all remember Brad Cressy in 2000, who was the Johnny Bench Award winner as the best catcher in college baseball. He was an All-American, went to Omaha, and couldn't buy a hit. Finally breaks through and gets a double off the wall against Florida State in the game that sent LSU to the national championship. Then against Stanford, he was fighting it in that game as well, and he was over until he came up in the bottom of the 9th, and there was Brad Cressy who singled through the right side to score Ryan Terrio. So, man, maybe that's it for Jordan, and it'll happen that way for Jordan. I sincerely hope it is. I'll remind you of this. Throughout his career, Jordan Thompson's hallmark has been spectacular defensive plays and clutch offensive at-bats. Do you remember last year? 2002, LSU played in the Minute Maid Classic at Minute Maid Park. In the 11th inning against Oklahoma, Jordan Thompson did this.
That one's launched. Jordan Thompson has won the game for LSU. The shortstop unloads beyond the Crawford boxes. And at one time, down to their final out, in danger of losing. Somehow, LSU comes from 3 down and walks off the Sooners. So the celebration is on.
Jordan Thompson, an 11th inning walk-off homer at Minute Maid. Remember this year, that dramatic series against Tennessee at Alec Box Stadium? Do you actually, we talk about it, but do you remember what happened? Game 1 when you had Skeens Dolander, and it was this giant build thing Thursday night at the box. Record-setting crowd at the new Alec Box Stadium. It was an incredible sight to behold, what we all saw play out there. And yet you were in a 2-2 ball game in the bottom of the 8th inning with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And do you remember what Jordan Thompson did?
The crowd needs to get fired up right here. Get in the gap.
Into the gap, right center field, off the bat of Thompson. Coming in to score is going to be Guidry. Clean right behind him with the speed. The throw just now coming in, and Pearson will score. Jordan Thompson, Mr. Clutch, LSU. And the Tigers regain the lead here in the bottom of the 8th.
What a blow off the bat of Jordan Thompson. A 3-run double to put the Tigers up 5-2 here in the bottom of the 8th with 2 outs. Unbelievable night for the Tigers shortstop. His second double of the night.
Mr. Clutch. A lot of y'all that were cheering in the stadium that night are the ones that are crapping on the kid on Twitter right now. And I'm not just sitting here trying to point out all the people who are being negative toward him. Just understand that over the course of 3 years, 2 years as a starter, that kid has made some incredible plays for his teammates and for this program. And he has come up big in some massive moments. And it sucks what's happened to him in the College World Series. And listen, I watch a ton of baseball, so do you. The kid's so scared to strike out, he's swinging early in counts just to make contact to avoid striking out. He's loading on his front foot. That's why when he's fouling ball, he's pulling him into the third base dugout. He's so far ahead of everything, and nobody's throwing him a fastball. What I'll tell you that you saw yesterday, if you actually want to go back and watch his ABs, he worked a full count at bat and pumped a ball into left center. Wyatt Langford is a great baseball player, made a running catch on a ball in the gap that any other center fielder, that might have been a double by Jordan Thompson. Yesterday, you started to see glimmers of a little more patience at the plate. And he made really, really good contact twice. Once he darn near doubled down the left field line. He missed a double by a foot. He's making better contact, and he was more patient at the plate yesterday. I think he's primed for he's primed to break his 1 for 31. His one was an infield single against Tennessee in the opener last Saturday. So he has gone 0 for since that. He's primed for a base hit. He's primed for a big moment, and I'd love to see it for him tonight. And hopefully all of you would as well, because it doesn't do any sense to dogpile on your own, especially when you're about to play for a national championship, man. Lift him up because you need that guy. He's going to be in the lineup. He's going to be your starting shortstop, and hopefully he's the starting shortstop of the national champions, and we'll know that after this game tonight. All right, it's after further review. Love telling you about Traction. TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Great opportunity, y'all. As we move through summer, we're heading toward July. I know a lot of y'all are probably already sick of your kids being at home every single day. Traction summer baseball camps. You can send them for full or half-day options. You can go to TractionSports.com if you want to register your son or daughter for summer baseball. TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. And look, I know a lot of you listening on our New Orleans affiliate, Alexandria. Today we welcome our Lafayette and Lake Charles ESPN affiliates. Y'all, youth athletes come from all over the state of Louisiana, even in Mississippi, to train at Traction, because it's where the pros train. And you get the same trainers, the same facilities, the same training program, sport-specific training program to help you, your son, your daughter, whoever it is, be the best that they can be in their specific sport. It's Traction. TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made. All right, y'all, it is after further review. We're about halfway home here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. And, man, we are about 90 minutes away from first pitch with LSU and Florida for the national championship. The voice of the Gators, Sean Kelley, here in about 10 minutes from right now. Charles Hanagriff will join us from Charles Schwab Field at the start of hour number 3. We're going to get you the starting lineups once they're posted. We got a ton to do. We're fired up. We're wall-to-wall baseball, counting you down to the national championship game. Stay with us here on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by HUDCO Roofing and HUDCORoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCORoofing.com. You know by now, last week we had historic hail in West Baton Rouge and parts of the greater Baton Rouge area. There were climatologists who said it was the worst hailstorm in 25 years. If that was you, we'd love to help. Listen, one of the things that our crews are consistently hearing is they're sick of door knockers. They're sick of roofing companies like leeches latching onto their home. Nobody wants to be bothered at home. I get it. They're literally homeowners who put signs outside in their yard. We have a roofer. Do not bother us. What I would strongly, strongly encourage, trust a local company that's been around. If you don't know the company, if you don't recognize the company, if they've never been around, if you never heard of them, don't do business with them. Because even if they say they can fix your roof now, who's going to be here in a month or 2 months or a year or 10 years? HUDCO will. HUDCORoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. HUDCO Roofing.
Bayou Ford has up to $7,000 off MSRP plus 0% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Rolling along here in hour number 2, Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows, getting set for a national championship game. Tip of the cap to Dylan Cruz, who won the Golden Spikes Award. It was announced before the game yesterday. For the second time in program history, LSU has a Golden Spikes Award winner. Ben McDonald back in 1989, we all know, became the first, and we waited 34 years, but got another now with Dylan Cruz winning and beating out Paul Skeens and Jack Caglione, who were the other two finalists for the Golden Spikes Award. Ben McDonald was on the coverage. It was pretty cool to see that. Ben McDonald was on ESPN's coverage for the Golden Spikes Award and talked about Dylan Cruz winning the Golden Spikes.
And a lot of times you can't win that award without a great team. I mean, your team...
They're the best player in college baseball.
Yeah, and a lot of times you can't win that award without a great team. I mean, your team helps pushes you to the forefront, and certainly he's been a star, one of the stars on this LSU team. And look, for me, Dylan Cruz, ever since he stepped on campus at LSU, his freshman year, you go back, he hit 362, 18 homers his freshman year, career 378 hitter at the collegiate level with 58 home runs. Those are giant numbers in the B.B. Corbett era for sure. And in a lot of ways, I mean, look, all three were deserving of this award. There was no doubt about that. But in a lot of ways, this kind of feels for me like more of a career award for Dylan Cruz. I know it's supposed to be for the best player, but he was so consistent for 3 years at LSU and always had that target on his back and always performed at a high level. And so congratulations to Dylan Cruz.
Ben said kind of a career award there. And I don't know that he meant it the way, in the sense I didn't want it to be disrespectful to Dylan winning it this year. Let's not forget Dylan Cruz is hitting 418. I mean, he's still at a actually he was hitting 418 going into the game yesterday. I need to check and see what it is updated now. But the point is, he hit over 400. He's been on base in every game. His on-base percentage is over 560. Dylan Cruz is just magnificent. He's the best player in baseball and is certainly deserving of winning the Golden Spikes. Yesterday, when we were doing the pregame show, Jimmy Ott and I were sitting in here, and it was just minutes before they were about to announce the Golden Spikes, and Jimmy said he thought Skeens would win it, and I said I thought it would be Cruz. And one of the things I mentioned is, I think it's worth mentioning, remember, you got a national database of voters, and we watch Skeens pitch every week here. We saw it all season. nationally, most people didn't see Paul Skeens, like really see Paul Skeens, until he pitched against Wake Forest on Thursday. That Skeens-Louder matchup was so heavily billed and had over 2 million viewers. I mean, you all saw it. There's no doubt people who saw him, but didn't see him week in, week out, like we saw in the performance he delivered. I guess my point is, had voting continued through the College World Series, I think there's a really good chance Paul Skeens would have won it. And you could make a very keen argument that he was the best player. I mean, you could make the argument, certainly. But Dylan Crews has been a household name for 3 years now. He's been an All-American, 2-time SEC Player of the Year, all of that stuff. It was natural to assume that national voters who don't watch every game all the time all year were going to look at the ballot and see, oh, Dylan Crews, who hit 400 this year and had a 560 on-base percentage. By the way, Dylan is hitting he's up to 421 and has an on-base percentage of 564. So a lot of people are going to look at that and go, yeah, Crews did exactly what we thought Crews would do, and that would be that. So, maybe it would have gone differently if voting had extended through the College World Series, but Dylan Crews, I think, was deserving. And, Dylan Crews and Paul Skeens are very likely going to go 1-2. Kylie McDaniel of ESPN, the Major League Draft Analyst, put out today his latest mock draft. And he does have, actually, Skeens and Crews flipped. He's got Skeens now going number 1 overall and to Pittsburgh, and Crews going number 2 overall to the Washington Nationals. One thing that I know for sure, and it's funny sometimes to hear people say it, that maybe Skeens would drop beyond 2. Skeens isn't getting past the Washington Nationals. I've got too many friends who are scouts that know this intimately, and the Nationals want to pick Paul Skeens because they see him as a guy that's a ready-made part of their rotation next year. So it's really just a matter of, do the Pirates want the position player or do they want the pitcher? And we'll have plenty of time to talk about this throughout the month of July. But for me, it's a very easy decision to make. Paul Skeens is magnificent. The position player affects the game every single day. He'll play 162. So I would take Dylan. If I had the number 1 pick, I would take Dylan Crews. As it is, he's got Crews going 2 to the Nationals and Wyatt Langford going 3 to the Detroit Tigers. I mean, I'll remind you, you can go back to, was it 2013 or 2014 when Houston had the number 1 pick and took Mark Appel instead of Chris Bryant? You think they wish they had a do-over? Anyway. All right, it's after further review. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows, Windows Door Siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Let me knock out our final break here of hour number 1. We'll come back. We'll head up to Omaha, talk to the voice of the Florida Gators, Sean Kelley, take a look at how Kevin O'Sullivan's squad's looking heading into tonight's final.
AFR.
I love telling you about New Orleans Flooring. Awesome people over there. Go see Big Sean. Go see Terrell. Tell them you heard us talking good about him here on AFR. The great thing about New Orleans Flooring, we always talk about pricing, and it matters so much. I always say buy where the pros buy. And there's a reason why home builders, remodelers, flippers, remediation companies use New Orleans Flooring, because they're going to get the best quality product at the best price because they cut out the middleman. They keep their flooring in stock, more than 1 million square foot of flooring in stock. In Baton Rouge, they are the exclusive Strong Built dealer, so check out the Strong Built line of flooring as well when you go by New Orleans Flooring. Airline Highway in Prairieville, so if you're going south on Airline, you know where they are. Going south on Airline, past the Walmart on the right, it's immediately on the right past the Walmart. Blue sign, blue awning, New Orleans Flooring, you can't miss it. 2 locations, Metairie, Airline Highway in Gonzales, or in Prairieville, and online at nolaflooring.com. That's nolaflooring.com.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Cold in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
All right, let's head to Charles Schwab Field. Our buddy Sean Kelley, the voice of the Gators, good enough to spend a couple of minutes with us here as we are an hour and 12 minutes away from first pitch. Hey, man, thanks for squeezing it in. How are you?
Of course. Great. Good to talk to you, Matt.
Our pleasure. What's it like calling a 24-4 game?
Well, it depends on which side you're on.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
That was incredible. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it was busy, and then I think in the later innings, it was like, okay, I start getting all the texts like, why don't we have a run rule in the NCAA tournament, and I don't have a great answer for him, but no, it was strange. I mean, nobody could have seen that coming. Both offenses are capable of doing that, but the pitching is what I think struck me. And then obviously LSU with the 5 errors yesterday was a little off brand for the Tigers too. So just, you mix all those things together and the next thing you know, we're there for 3.5 hours.
How important was it for both squads, the game getting out of hand the way it did, to set up pitching and bullpen arms for today?
Yeah, I think that was key. And, obviously LSU's situation is just a touch different because of that extra game on Thursday. But I thought Jay did a good job yesterday of kind of realizing what the moment was and making sure that he had a healthier Riley Cooper today, and of course, Herring's available today, and just kind of being smart about it, and knowing that the series was probably going to go 3 games. Both of these head coaches have probably had that in the back of their mind, even though they may say different publicly.
After Jack Cagg's situation obviously matters, but who's likely to follow?
Well, Ryan Slater is probably teed up for a long outing if need be, or even just what he normally has been during the regular season. That's a really, really good setup guy. Give you 2 innings and work the way to Neely, and Neely will be available too. So, I mean, if Kevin O'Sullivan could write down right now how he wants this to go, it's probably Cagg, Slater, Neely.
On the flip side, what if? And for those who don't, Caglione, he's a two-way guy, so he's going to pitch and hit. So what happens if he, let's say it's a similar situation as with Waldrop yesterday. Let's say Caggs is running in the third. What do they do there?
Well, you lose the D, or he becomes the designated hitter. He's listed as the pitcher/designated hitter. So if he comes off the mound at any point, and this has been the case all year, he stays in the lineup offensively as the DH.
So he just can't go over to first base?
Well, you could do that, but then you would lose the DH, and you'd have to start moving other spots around. So, no, defensively, you would not see him go to first base in all likelihood.
Sean, offensively, look, I mean, it was a record-setting day, 24 runs, 23 hits. I mean, the asterisk is that, of course, it was LSU's up 10, down 10 guys, right? You're only putting them in the game if they're up 10, down 10. But still, they barreled balls and hit it. What was it that they found yesterday that worked so well offensively?
I think, Matt, in a lot of ways, it was getting the top of the order back on track. And we're talking about Cade Curlin and Wyatt Langford and Jack Caglione. And once those guys started rolling, everything else kind of falls into place. Riot Pills obviously hit long balls this year. And then I guess, I'd be honest, it's a surprise just because based on the regular season body of work, no one could have seen Ty Evans have the College World Series that he's put together here. And, I mean, he's just been dynamite and multiple home runs, another pair yesterday, albeit the one was the strangest one, that grand slam down the left field line. And that's kind of our view from our broadcast booth. And I'm calling that, and I'm so glad I didn't just, give up on it, say, foul, long, loud foul ball here with that win. I kind of had my eye on Pearson in left field, and as he kept coming toward the corner, I thought, well, this might be blown back in, and sure enough, it did. But no, Evans near the bottom of the order has kind of sparked that into the lineup, and then yesterday, obviously getting Curlin on base all but one time, I think, and Wyatt Langford that guy's so locked in, and I knew he would be more than ready, more so than even the other guys, in trying to put together a bounce-back game after the game one loss in extra innings.
Is there a feeling there, Sean, on what's going to happen with Paul Skeens from the Florida side?
No, I think they've just kind of kept an open mind to it with a lean toward reality, and the reality being what is going to happen for him in the next couple of weeks, and with the workload he's put in. But I think they all know Paul is the ultimate competitor, great mental capability of putting something special together, even if it's only 1-2 innings perhaps. I think Florida's ready for that. And look, we didn't find out until, half an hour before BP started on the home side that it would be Thatcher Herd. So, I mean, that's a Jay Johnson thing. He kind of keeps that close to the vest. That's not surprising, but I think they left it out there that, hey, you never know. He might start Skeens and let him go a couple innings and then piece it together from there. But I don't think anybody here is ready to concede Skeens' availability one way or the other.
Got about a minute, Sean. From the Florida perspective, what do you see as the key in tonight's ball game?
Jack Caglione throwing strikes. We'll start with that. When he's 60% or better throwing strikes, his ERA is 1.51, whip at 0.93. Less than 60% strikes, it balloons to 5.73.
Wow.
That's a piece of it. And then, obviously, just like Florida had to kind of flush Friday night, LSU will do the same. And Florida also has to kind of flush yesterday, too. I mean, they were pretty adamant saying, look, we can't take any of these runs, all the cliche stuff. But mentally, they have to be in that mindset. And just know that just like the stat yesterday where the Gators had not lost back-to-back games since May 5th and 6th, that neighborhood, look, LSU has only lost back-to-back games 2 times this year. So I think Florida's aware that be very careful with a very dangerous LSU team that has proven, as the Gators have too this weekend, that the 2 best teams are rightfully so playing a rubber match game here for the whole thing.
He is Sean Kelley, the voice of the Gators. Thank you for the time. Have a great call. We'll look forward to talking to you soon, man.
Thanks, Matt. Take care, everybody.
It is our pleasure. Again, Sean Kelley. Lineups have been posted, and my goodness, there are some changes. Oh, boy, that Jay Johnson has in this lineup, and we're going to get to it coming up right after. How's that for a tease? We'll get to it right after SportsCenter because there's a lot to digest here. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Relentless reporting gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit, recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
Bayou Ford has up to $7,000 off MSRP plus 0% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hour number 3 of AFR is coming right up. Charles Hanagriff will join us live from Omaha, Nebraska. That will be coming up, and we will talk about this starting lineup, and there are some significant shakeups to LSU's starting lineup. That's coming up here, Hour 3 of AFR in 90 seconds.
Blazers point guard will be gathering with his closest advisors to discuss his next move, if any. Lillard said at the end of the season he wasn't interested in a youth movement, wanted Portland to upgrade with veterans. The Blazers are hoping Dame will allow some time to work with third overall pick Scoot Henderson, see what other moves they can make in free agency. But there is an issue with that, explains Windhorst.
The suitors who are going to want Dame Lillard do not have that luxury. They are going to need to know whether or not he is going to put himself on the market in the next few days. He's got a teammate in Jeremy Grant, whose decision on free agency will, whether to re-sign with the Blazers or look elsewhere, will largely depend on what Dame would like to do.
The Hawks finalizing a trade to send forward John Collins to the Jazz for forward Rudy Gay and a future second-round pick, reports ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Atlanta gets financial flexibility. Utah gets a versatile forward. NHL Blackhawks acquired former Hart Trophy winner Taylor Hall from the Bruins.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance. And cover your furry friends with pet health insurance.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt.
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Alondra Villarreal. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. And welcome to your drive home to our friends on ESPN 1037 in Lafayette and ESPN 1041 in Lake Charles. Shout out to the 337. We're glad to have you along for the ride home. Let's head up back to Omaha one final time. Our buddy Charles Hanagriff is there. Been there for a long time now. But one more day will do it as LSU and Florida will play for national championship 1 hour from right now. Hanny, how are you?
Doing great, Scone. How are you?
I'm doing well. Okay, so what's the scuttle on we know that's official. Thatcher Herd is starting. What's the scuttle there, boots on the ground in Omaha about Skeens?
Well, the idea is that they could use Skeen. I thought Ben McDonald had the perfect tweet about this, and it's kind of what we talked about with Skip and Cano at lunch today. If they need to use him, would use him in a closeout situation, or as Ben put it, in a high leverage situation. You know, if you're in something like, we ran through about 8 different scenarios with Skip today, and you know, it's maybe the perfect scenario. They don't need to use him. Second best scenario is they take a 5-4, 6-5, 1-run lead to the 9th. They need him for 3 outs, or they maybe need him for 6 outs. I don't know if they're going to go much past that. I would set his ceiling at somewhere between 30 and 45 pitches. I don't think they would go any further than that. Riley Cooper is there. He's in uniform. They can use him. We don't know how he feels, but he's there. He didn't go to the park yesterday. So those two elements, plus Griffin Herring, you know, being available is probably the most rested, viable option that they've got. I think that's your pitching plan.
Any thought to how Herd matches up against the Florida offense?
I don't worry about who he's playing against as much as I just worry about where his command is. His stuff is plenty good enough if he's not overmatched here in any way. If he's locating his pitches, his velocity is plenty good enough, his breaking stuff is good enough to be swing and miss against pretty much anybody. But what kind of command? I mean, it's the biggest game of his life by a lot, and he just pitched in a couple of big ones. So where his nerves are going to be, you know, how his command is going to be, I'm watching with the rest of you.
I'm sure you've seen the starting lineup, and there are some significant shakeups. Most notably, Cade Beloso goes to the leadoff spot, and Milazzo is back in the starting lineup catching and batting 9th. Thoughts on what Jay did with the starting lineup tonight?
Yeah, so the easy part is Milazzo. You get the defensive edge here. He's worth, as you saw in the middle of last week, probably 5-6 pitches a game that he'll frame up and steal from you. He was exhausted yesterday, okay? I actually talked to a couple of people in his family. He was exhausted. I mean, he had caught, was it 4 straight games? I'm losing
4 straight
track.
games. Yes, 4 straight games.
And in this heat, he was exhausted. And it wasn't a bad idea to put Travinsky in the lineup yesterday with the wind blowing out, hoping he could get one up in a jet stream. He didn't. So the move to go back to Milazzo, I think, is a good one and an easy call. Beloso in the leadoff spot is obviously going to raise some eyebrows. Let me do the first part is, well, he's one of the slowest guys on the team. They ain't running, okay? They don't run. So it wouldn't have mattered. When's the last time you saw Dylan Cruz lead off the game with a single and steal second, okay? So don't worry about that. I'm out, I don't have my notes in front of me, Matt. If you can check this real quick, I think Cade Beloso has the highest on-base percentage of any player in the College World Series, the LSU player in the College World Series. So that's the good part. Bad part is you're going lefty-lefty. Now, they're going to try to get Caglione out of the game as quick as they can, obviously, so maybe it's extra at-bats. And then the third thing is the wind is blowing hard right now, but it's supposed to die down as the night goes on. One more power hitter, maybe it's one more at-bat, with the wind blowing out, in the fifth inning. Next time he gets up, wind might have died down a little bit more. It might be a home run that gets over the fence by 2 feet, Matt, in the fifth inning. And maybe it's because Beloso's batting first instead of fifth. Those are my reasons for you. But the on-base percentage thing is the biggest thing to me.
Is the voice fading because of yelling there at Charles Schwab Field, or because you've done an insane amount of remote broadcasts and updates over 12 days or whatever it's been?
I haven't yelled. The only time I've yelled all week was the Tommy White home run. Okay, I actually watched that game from the stands. It was a nail biter. I never yelled one time until he hit the home run. Then I got to admit, my emotions got the best of me. The rest of this is just extreme usage, and I'll tell you that 90% of the places we've been here have been packed, whether it be restaurants, bars, the hotel, the Ameristar Casino, or in the park itself. You got to talk loud to be heard. I've been talking loud for 12 days. Yeah, I'm fading a little bit. I told Jimmy today, I said, you got to carry the water a little bit today. I'm kind of concerned what's left of my voice.
I love the pictures in the hotel. I guess that's the Hilton where the team is staying downtown.
Yeah.
The amount of fans in that lobby. Hanny, I know you've been going to this event for the better part of 30 years. I can't imagine there has ever been a fan base that traveled like this. With respect to teams seeking their first, right? State a couple of years ago, Ole Miss last year. This feels different even for LSU this year.
It's because of the drought that they haven't been here in 6 years. Every time I've been to Omaha, I get home and somebody says, we've been listening, we've been watching, next time we're going. And for most years, that's been a 1 or 2 year drought, maybe 3. It's never been 6 since they started coming up here. And I can't tell you how many people I've met up here that said, my first time, I've been dying to come here. I've been dying to go to the stadium. I've been dying to go to Barrett's. I've been dying to go to the team hotel. That's in my opinion, that's a lot of what this is about.
Dying to buy Jello shots at Rocco.
Yeah, that. Right, exactly.
Oh, man. Our updates and our coverage from Omaha for the last 2 weeks have been brought to you by Rev Business. We appreciate our friends at Rev. Suffice to say that our friends at Rev, Handy, got a ton of run out of this sponsorship. It pays to jump aboard this purple and gold bandwagon when it gets rolling good down the street. Hey, man.
And I'll tell you real quick, the folks at the Ameristar said, we've loved everything up here. They're calling us by name. And when we came to Barrett's for lunch today, the manager there told us, he said, listen, I said, downtown is a little bit there. He goes, no, we had our best series in 10 years here. So they've been here. They've been supporting. It's been a lot of fun. Let's see if they can finish it off the right way.
One more. Charles Hanagriff. Thank you, Handy. We appreciate it.
All right, Scum.
All right. Our coverage up there in Omaha all week, 2 weeks, has been brought to you by Rev Business. We appreciate Rev. Everybody knows formerly ETEL. They've rebranded to Rev. So, as I say, let's Rev. All right. It's after further review. I want to get some – let me break so we stay on time. I want to get some thoughts on Thatcher Herd against the Gators. And I want to run through this starting lineup as well. We're going to do that when we continue here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows.
AFR.
Y'all, it ain't too late. We are less than an hour away from first pitch. If you're still thinking, where am I going to go for the game? Go to Pluckers. Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine-in carry-out delivery. They will have wall-to-wall TVs with the game on. They will have the sound pumped in. If you're wondering, where do I go? It's also a Monday, which means all-you-can-eat wings. I mean, it's kind of the perfect storm. LSU, Florida, national championships, TVs everywhere, sound pumped in, all-you-can-eat wings, ice-cold draft beer. It's Pluckers. Go to watch the game at Pluckers. It's that easy. If you're going to watch at the house and you're wondering what you should eat, if you're going to order out, order wings. I mean, that's what you do. If you're going to order out, you order wings. So you order from Pluckers. Either location, Nicholson just south of campus, Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. So no matter where you are in town, they can get to you. DoorDash, Uber Eats, it's Pluckers. Remember, at Pluckers, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah. You don't know what you're doing. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. And cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clashing, chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like it's Wall Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Doug Thompson prepared to deliver perhaps the biggest pitch of his career. Here's the payoff pitch. He struck him out! Tigers win! Tigers win! And the ball game is over, and the LSU Fighting Tigers have defended their national championship. Holy cow!
Jim Hawthorne, courtesy of the LSU Sports Radio Network. 1997, LSU beats Alabama 13-6. A SEC on SEC crime done there by the Tigers, getting it done. They'll try to do the same thing tonight, upending the Florida Gators. You know, series tied at 1 game apiece. Deciding game 3 starts in 45 minutes from right now. We're counting you down to it. As we mentioned, the starting lineups have been posted, and Jay Johnson has made some pretty significant changes to this starting lineup. Now, I will run through it for those maybe, I understand, drive time. A lot of people just knocking off of work, just jumping in the car. Some people probably haven't seen this yet. Cade Beloso, in his 5 years in Baton Rouge, has never batted leadoff. That's going to change in his last game in purple and gold. So I'll use Wilson Alexander's Twitter here, but here's the starting lineup as posted by LSU. Cade Beloso will lead off. He is your designated hitter from the left side. Dylan Cruz will bat second and play center field. Tommy White bats third and plays third base. Trey Morgan will be in the cleanup spot, followed by Gavin Dugas and Braden Joubert in second base and right field, respectively. Jordan Thompson will bat seventh and play short. Josh Pearson will bat eighth and play left. And Alex Milazzo back in the starting lineup will catch and bat ninth. Couple things. Number one, more than anything, I love having the switch moving a guy that gets on base into the leadoff spot and Dylan Cruz into the 2-hole. I thought this lineup was at its most productive when Gavin Dugas led off, Dylan Cruz batted second, and Tommy White batted third. And while Trey Morgan is not your prototypical cleanup hitter, what I love is at the top of the lineup, I need someone who's going to make a pitcher work and get on base. And Dylan Cruz gets on base better than anybody in the country. He's got a .564 on base percentage. But, and that's so again, in a vacuum, Dylan Cruz is a magnificent leadoff man. Like, if Dylan Cruz becomes a leadoff hitter at the next level, great. I think he's a great leadoff hitter here. But I also think he's got tremendous value in the 2-hole, because in the 2-hole, you're going to see more fastballs, especially when Tommy White is batting behind you. So if I have Tommy White, a big bat run producer who's, second in the country in runs batted in this year, I want guys who get on base ahead of Tommy White. Well, nobody gets on base more than Dylan Cruz, .564 clip. And the next two highest on base percentages are Cade Beloso, .459, Gavin Dugas, .458. Those two dudes get on base a ton. It's just what they do. They're veteran players. They'll work counts. They're patient hitters. They can hit to all fields. Look at Dugas yesterday. He pumped a double into the right center field gap. He got on base with a hit by pitch. He worked an 11-pitch at bat against Sprode in the first inning on Saturday. I love those guys. They've seen everything. There's nothing that's going to overwhelm them, because over 600 career at-bats in 5 years, you have seen everything. You've seen elite high-level pitching. You have struck out in big moments. You've gotten hits in big moments. You have walked. You've been hit by pitch. You've done it at home. You've done it on the road. You've done it in the postseason at home. It's like there's just nothing new. So I love that those guys the moment isn't going to be too big for them. So be it Beloso or Dugas, I'd have been thrilled with either of those guys in the starting at batting leadoff. The one thing about Beloso is he is a lefty, and Jack Caglione is a lefty, and so you started off with lefty-lefty. Now, my assumption is Caglione isn't going to pitch the entire game, of course, and you very well tonight, at some point in this ballgame, depending on how Florida gets into its bullpen, could see Fisher again, the lefty who pitched on Saturday before. Then went Sproat, Fisher, Neely. Fisher threw 50 pitches. He's available today. Neely, their closer, who threw 54 pitches on Saturday, would be available again, but he's a righty. So I don't mind at all Cade Beloso leading off, and I think Hanny said it well there. You maybe get Cade Beloso an extra at-bat, and it could be a situation where one swing is the difference. I mean, it's a baseball game. It could be the guy who hits the 3-run homer, the one swing that gets you the 3-run homer, that's the difference in a game like this. This isn't going to end 24-4 like yesterday. This is going to be more reminiscent of everything we've seen at the College World Series up until this point. As far as the other spots in the lineup, we talked last hour about Jordan Thompson, and I'll just reiterate for those that might have missed it, and I'll just give you the abbreviated Cliff's Notes. Thompson in his career has come up with huge moments. He homered in the 11th at the Minute Maid Classic to walk off Oklahoma. Earlier this year, bases loaded, 2-out, bottom 8, 2-2 ball game against Tennessee in that record-setting crowd game at Alex Box Stadium on a Thursday night. He pumped a double into the right center field gap. Thompson in his career has been noted for amazing, spectacular defensive plays and clutch hits. And it sucked for him as he has scuffled at this College World Series offensively. Yesterday was a bad day defensively, no doubt about that. But the one thing that a lot of people probably overlooked in his at-bats yesterday is for the first time in this College World Series, he was patient. He actually worked counts. He worked a full count in the game yesterday, and he put some really good swings on pitches. He just wasn't rewarded for it. Hit one to center, one to left center, where the one where Wyatt Langford made the catch on a dead sprint into the gap in left center. That's why Wyatt Langford's going to be the third pick in the draft. But my point is, even though he still had a bagel yesterday, Thompson had a much more patient approach at the plate, and I think he's going to break through tonight. And I love having Alex Milazzo in the game. We have talked plenty about both of those guys, and Milazzo and Travinski, and both have had massive roles on this team. You know, Brady Neal was your starting catcher for the bulk of this season, and Milazzo was your late-inning defensive replacement. When Neal got hurt, Milazzo became your catcher, and Travinski just found at-bats here and there. And Travinski took such advantage of his opportunities that you couldn't justify removing him from the lineup, which I was totally fine with. As the wind shifted in Omaha, there was no justification for having Travinski in the lineup because you needed the better defensive catcher, framing pitches, stealing pitches. And that's what Alex Milazzo is a specialist at. And I don't think it's a great coincidence that you saw 4 dominant pitching performances with Milazzo behind the plate. And I'm not going to say that Ty Floyd struck out 17 because Milazzo was catching him, but Ty Floyd, after that performance, was asked about Alex Milazzo. Here's what Ty Floyd said on Saturday night about Milazzo after the record-setting strikeout game.
Yeah, I mean, Alex has been great for us all year. I know this is actually the first time Alex caught me in a couple weeks and stuff, but he came up and like he's caught me all year and stuff. He was able to steal me some pitches tonight, able to block some balls out when I needed it and stuff. But also I know that other teams are threatened by his arm, so I know that runners don't run as much on him.
So the pitchers know it, the coaches know it. It's a benefit to having him manage the staff, work the umpire, work strikes, frame pitches. Yes, in a game that could be close, I want that guy behind the plate. It's a security blanket tonight because that's a better option. The other thing I'll tell you is that in this College World Series, Alex Milazzo is 3 of 14 at the plate. I'm not telling you he set the world on fire, but he's 3 of 14. That's a .214 batting average. He did get the sack bunt down in the 8th inning of the game against Wake Forest. They didn't score in that situation, but it was the situation where everybody knew it was bunting. And with all the trouble people have had bunting in this College World Series, he got the sack bunt down, so he's giving you productive ABs. Travinski in this College World Series is 0 for 12 with 4 Ks. This is the right call. That was probably the easiest call for Jay Johnson tonight in this lineup, was putting Milazzo back in. So, Tigers are 4-0 in the College World Series with Milazzo starting behind the plate, and we'll see how it goes for the Tigers tonight as the Tigers and the Gators will play. We're about 36 minutes away here from first pitch. You can hear the game, of course, on the LSU Sports Radio Network, our sister station, Eagle 98.1, and you can watch it on ESPN television, of course. So that's the changes in the lineup. I do also want to talk about Thatcher Herd, so I'll come back to that here in a second. Let me remind you about Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. Michelli's been around for 76 years. And you know what? I can tell you a lot about scales and weighing and measurement and everything today, but what I'll tell you is this. Joel McMullen, the president and CEO of Michelli, his son is Sean McMullen, who you all may remember was on the 2013 LSU team that went to the College World Series. They're a huge LSU baseball fan, huge LSU baseball family, and more than anything, I'm sure they would just like to wish the Tigers good luck today. Go Tigers. You want to learn more about Michelli and all the things they do, their products and services, go to the website, Michelli.com. That's Michelli.com. If you want to purchase or rent scales and measurement equipment, you can request a quote. If you need equipment calibrated, or maybe you're looking for a new career instead of just a job. How about a company that's been around for 76 years? It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. That's Michelli.com. All right, so we know for the Tigers tonight, their starting lineup, they'll face Jack Caglione from the Florida Gators. And Caglione has been really good in his sophomore season. You heard Sean Kelley, the voice of the Gators, who was with us at the end of hour number 2, and essentially laid out what is the reality facing Florida with Jack Caglione on the mound. When Caglione is throwing strikes and doesn't walk guys, his ERA is sub 2. When he's up there walking guys, his ERA balloons to north of 5. It's that simple. He's a lefty. He will walk people. You have just got to be able to make him throw the ball over the plate. When he makes a mistake, make it hurt. I'll give you the actual numbers. His ERA on the season is 3.68 in 73 and a third innings pitched, so not as many innings pitched as Sproat and Waldrop. In those 73 and a third innings pitched, 85 strikeouts and 52 walks. When Caglione gets in trouble, it's when he walks hitters. And when you look at how he's fared throughout the course of the season, you can even look at he didn't pitch in the Supers, but against Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament, Caglione lasted just an inning and 2/3. And it's easy to see why. He gave up 6 runs on 4 hits. He walked 3 batters. If you make Caglione throw the ball over the plate, you can beat him. His stuff is good. He beat Florida A&M in the regional round. No runs on 4 hits, 6 innings pitched. Against TCU in the College World Series, he didn't make it out of the 5th. He went 4 1/3, allowed a run on 3 hits, struck out 3, walked 1. So you can get some traffic on the bases, but you got to make it hurt when you do. If he gives you free passes, you need to score. And that's kind of been an issue for LSU in this College World Series. Matter of fact, it's something Cade Beloso was asked about after Saturday when LSU had tons of traffic in the early innings against Sproat and couldn't deliver the knockout blow early.
Baseball's a tough game, and, when runners get on, that's when pitchers tend to make their best pitches, and, that's when they rise to the occasion and, make good pitches and stuff like that. But, in terms of not getting the job done, no one's freaking out about it. And, we just got to keep playing the game and, keep putting ourselves in those opportunities, and you just know eventually we're going to come through and, provide our pitchers with run support.
Jay Johnson was asked a similar question after Sunday's loss, considering he had the bases loaded each of the first 2 innings and came away with just 3 runs.
I'm sure, I guess. But I don't really know how to answer that. We're the best offensive team in the country, and when you lead the country in on-base percentage, you're going to leave more runners on base. I feel part of the credit has to go to the pitcher at times, and I think it was Purnell did a nice job, inducing the ground ball for the double play. But yeah, we got our guys. We're not going to bring in a bunch of free agents for tomorrow night. It's a 27-man roster, and I'm good with that. I'm totally good with that.
Should be totally good with that because his 27-man roster has been pretty stinking awesome throughout the course of this year, and he's got to go win one 9-inning baseball game to win a national championship. So a lot on the line for these 2 squads. The other thing I'll mention when you talk about leaving men on base, I would just like to note that in the 9th inning of the game on Saturday, with Riley Cooper starting the 9th for Floyd, Cooper got 2 very quick outs. Rivera grounded out, Riopel grounded out. Remember, Rivera had been their best bat at the College World Series, their shortstop, and Riopel, guys, just keeps hitting homers. And then Heyman walked. And then you had a pass ball, and you had the game-winning run in the 9th inning at second base. A base hit, any type of hit, and Florida walks off LSU in that situation. And Cooper struck out Scheikhofer. In the 10th inning, LSU had Dylan Cruz at second. They intentionally walked Tommy White. Morgan pops up to second. Dugas flies out to center. You don't get your run in, but then look at what happened in the bottom. You get an easy out. Halter was hit by the pitch. It was the one that hit him on the hand. It looked like it hit the bat, hit him on the hand. So Halter's on base. Curlin singled. Remember, he hit the ball to Riley Cooper that Cooper couldn't glove. So now you got first and second with 1 out. The game-winning run is on second base. Langford smokes the ball to Pearson, who makes the running catch, the catch of the year. And then Jack Caglione popped up to shortstop. If you're a Florida fan, you're sitting there going, we got the game-winning run on second base. Our 3 and 4 hole hitters up. A guy that's going to be maybe the 3rd pick of the draft, smokes one to left, and it's caught. And then Caglione, who leads the country in homers, pops one up on the infield. Point is, Florida fans could say the same thing today about hitting in the clutch in those situations. And they're not wrong. And ultimately, it's baseball. And what it came down to was who was going to make the big swing. And it was LSU. Cade Beloso hit a home run on Saturday night, which did it. And on Sunday, LSU had the bases loaded twice. They, you grounded out, and you grounded into a double play. They hit a wind-aided home run, which was a grand slam. I mean, that's the difference in the ballgame. I know you can say it's 24-4, but we all understand what happened. Once that grand slam left the yard, Jay Johnson consciously made the decision, I'm not burning any arms here. It's going to be what it's going to be from this point on. And it was the right decision. But what you did with one swing with the bases loaded, each team is what determined those results on Saturday and Sunday. And that's going to be what determines the result tonight. So it's LSU making the big swing, as they've done so many times this year. Okay, it's after further review. You know our Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows door siding, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank and vinyl siding. They do it all at Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Okay, we'll grab a break, come back. I want to talk a little bit about how Thatcher Herd matches up against this lineup. We'll take a look at what Thatcher Herd has done. If you haven't heard, if you're just knocking off, Thatcher Herd is going to get the start for LSU tonight, and what may follow, we'll kind of piece that together as we continue. We will get to Otter Locks in about 15 minutes with Jimmy Ott. LSU is a heavy favorite in this ballgame tonight. They are a heavy favorite over Florida tonight. What is actually going on with that line? We'll talk about that with Ott coming up in about 15 minutes to give you our final thoughts on the game before we hand it off to the LSU Sports Radio Network and LSU and Florida. We're not going to quick break. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Hey, look, we are hitting triple-digit temps every single day. If your AC isn't keeping up, maybe it's making funny noises, maybe it's not blowing as cold as it used to, you better get that thing checked out. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001 for River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time, where you don't pay a dime, and where you're always going to have an expertly trained technician who's going to be fair and honest and friendly. You can be comfortable with who's coming to your home, like Jeff. FB left this 5-star review. From Jeff, who took my call, to the service technician, I'm well pleased. The tech, Michael, was very professional, knowledgeable, informative, friendly, relatable. I highly recommend River City's 1 Hour Air. When the tech is coming to your house, you're going to get a phone call, an email, and a text alerting you he's on his way. You'll get a name, photo, and reviews of that technician so you can always feel comfortable with who is coming to your home. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good look.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Here comes the windup and the 3-2 pitch to the plate. Fly ball into right field. Barrios makes the call. Thank you. Good night. And the Tigers are the National Baseball champions.
Jim Hawthorne, all the way back in June of 1993, on the back of a true freshman, Brett Laxton, his 16 strikeouts in an 8-0 win over Wichita State, claiming LSU's second program national championship, a record that, quite honestly, y'all, I never thought that I would ever see fall. And one of the most remarkable things about this season, as great as Paul Skeens was this year, literally the greatest we've ever seen, Dylan Cruz winning the Golden Spikes Award, the dramatic home runs in Omaha from Tommy White and Cade Beloso. When time passes and we look back on this season, hopefully we are looking at a championship season, and in a reverent way that we do with things that happen in championship seasons and the way that they play out. The thing that may be lasting, the moment, the game that may be the most lasting, is what Ty Floyd did. And the way that we talk about Todd Walker in 1993 in the comeback against Long Beach, Ty Floyd and the 17 strikeouts against Florida in 8 innings pitched, I just never thought I'd see it. I never thought I would see a day where Brett Laxton's record of 16 strikeouts fell. Even in that game on Saturday, T-Bob and I were sitting at Don Juan, getting ready to do whiskey and wine. Even when we're sitting there and I'm watching Ty Floyd in the 8th, only then, when he got his 15th strikeout, he struck out the side in the 8th, 15, 16, 17. He got his 15th strikeout, I said, and they flashed on the screen, I said, holy hell. He's one away from tying Brett Laxton. And he struck out the next batter. And I tweeted, yo, he just tied Brett Laxton. I know it's nothing that nobody, the national broadcast wasn't going to talk about that. That's something that LSU fans know forever. And then he struck out the side and he broke the record. And it was, I think I tweeted 100 exploding head emojis. And it happened so quickly because even as it was happening throughout the game, I still never thought that's where it was going to land. Conceptualizing that piece of history as it was happening, it never entered my mind until the 8th inning. And what Brett Laxton did in the championship game as a freshman back in 1993, Ty Floyd bests as a junior here in 2023, 30 years later. And Ty Floyd and the Tigers trying to polish off national championship number 7, which, of course, that 1993 team raised the trophy 30 years ago. To do it tonight, they'll need an outstanding performance from Thatcher Herd. You know, I posted this earlier today on Twitter for those that might have missed it. And if you listen to this show and have listened to the show throughout the course of the season, and I'm grateful. And I know there's a lot of people today, again, shout out, finding us in the 337 as ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette, ESPN 104.1 in Lake Charles. We're live there today for the first. What a day to launch, by the way, right? I mean, the day that LSU. Sometimes you just get lucky, right? We launch on the day that LSU's playing Florida for the national championship. But the day before LSU opened this season, LSU opened the season this year against Western Michigan. And Jay Johnson was doing his media avail, and he was asked, like every coach is, what's the starting rotation for the weekend? And he laid out the starting rotation, which for the opening weekend was Skeens, Cooper, and Shores. It's changed a lot since then. The one steady has been Paul Skeens. I'm going to play this, by the way. And a question was asked, I believe it was Jacques who asks Jay Johnson, you'll hear it here, about Thatcher Herd. Remember, Herd's coming in, UCLA transfer, ton of fanfare, had a sub-2 ERA in his freshman season, but freshman season at UCLA derailed because of back problems. And Jay Johnson said this the day before LSU's first game of the season. And here they are getting ready to play number 71. And listen to this with that context.
Thatcher Herd kind of on the cusp.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, a matter of fact, I'd go as far as saying for us to be the best team that we need to be, then, he needs to figure into that starting mix. If the question is, do I think he's going to start games and significant games this year, the answer is yes.
If the question is, do I think he's going to start games and start significant games, the answer is yes. For us to be our best, we need him to figure into that mix. Here you are, the final day of the season. 2 teams left, 1 game to win the national championship. For LSU to be their best, to be the national champion, the guy starting the game is the guy who literally the day before the season opener. LSU opened up on Friday, February the 17th against Western Michigan. It was First Responders Weekend, by the way, and LSU won the opener 10-0. On Thursday, February the 16th, Jay Johnson said of Thatcher Herd, for us to be the best we can be this year, he's got to figure into that starting mix, and he's going to start games of significance. Well, here you are, game 71 on June 26th, and Thatcher Herd is getting the ball to try to pitch LSU to a national championship. How poetic and prophetic of Jay Johnson back in February to say that of Herd, only to have it happen here today. Now, can he go deliver? That's going to be the big question. We saw Thatcher Herd, of course, already in this College World Series, and when we have seen Thatcher Herd really in this entire postseason run, he has been magnificent. We've talked about Thatcher Herd, and when he seemed to really turn the corner was in that relief appearance against Alabama when he closed the game against Alabama in Tuscaloosa. He came on in game 2, the 12-8 win where LSU rallied. He gave you an inning and 2/3, no runs on 1 hit, struck out 1, and he was fantastic in the 8th and the 9th to get LSU across the finish line and to win that game. And in this postseason, we saw him pitch against Oregon State. He gave you 5 innings of relief against Oregon State in the 6-5 win. We saw Thatcher Herd pitch against Wake Forest in the following up Paul Skeens, and gave you 3 innings. He gave you 3 innings of relief, and then pitched a second time against Wake Forest behind Paul Skeens on Thursday and gave you 3 innings of relief. So behind Floyd the first time in the loss, and then behind Skeens in the win, the 2-0 win, Herd was incredible. He gave you 6 innings of brilliant relief. He only ended up bending when Floyd came out of the game, of course, in that disastrous 6th inning. But that was it. After that, he was magnificent to the finish, and then he got you home with no runs allowed in the 3 innings pitched against Wake Forest in the 2-0 win that Tommy White won with the dramatic walk-off. My point is, Thatcher Herd has been in dramatic spots already for this team this season and in the College World Series. He's taken the ball, and he has been sensational. So let's hope that Thatcher Herd goes out there and delivers another fantastic performance. Remember, in that Oregon State game, he gave you 5 innings with 12 strikeouts in 5 innings. Herd has been in this postseason the Herd we expected when we all heard They had gotten this incredible talent from UCLA, a guy who, if you look at Keith Law's prospect rankings for next year's draft, he's got Thatcher Herd as the number 2 prospect on the board. Herd became that guy in this postseason. Let's see if he can do it one more time for the Tigers tonight. Okay, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. Hey, for all of you listening in Lafayette, Southwest Volkswagen, for our friends in the 337 on 1037 ESPN, ESPN 1037 Lafayette. South Point Volkswagen's on Airline just north of Highland, and SouthPointVW.com if you're buying new or certified pre-owned. They are Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. So shop them online. The all-new ID4, that's the all-electric SUV for everyone. And they got great inventory arriving darn near weekly over there at South Point Volkswagen. While a lot of car dealerships still have empty lots since COVID, South Point Volkswagen has inventory on the lot for you to choose from. So go test drive today. South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? Okay, 15 minutes away from the national broadcast and first pitch of LSU and Florida. We got one thing left to do. We'll find out what we're betting on tonight. I have a feeling what it's going to be, but Otter Locks to wrap it up next.
AFR.
Heading toward a new week, and always love telling you about our friends over at Clegg's Nursery. Earlier today, as a matter of fact, was trading notes with Miss Teresa over at Clegg's. Some great sales and promos for the 4th of July weekend. You want to brighten up your flower beds, your patio pots with some summertime favorites. You can do it with our friends over at Clegg's Nursery. Get by any of the 4 area locations: Seagan near Airline, LA16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. They're open 8 to 5:30 Monday to Friday, Sunday from 9 to 5. They will be closed on the 4th of July, but if you want some of the summertime favorite flowers, you can go get them. A beautiful hibiscus, they've got them. Some 4th of July gardening. If you want to picture what it can look like, they can help you over at Clegg's Nursery. You can check out their Facebook page where they're always updating new arrivals, as they have arrivals daily at their greenhouses at all 4 Clegg's Nursery locations. So, for more than 60 years, as I tell you every day, buy local, shop local, and be sure to tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind. When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Stretched by Mars on the pitch. Swung on and hit the right field. That's way back there. Way back there. Home run! Tigers win! Tigers win! Home run! It's a two-run home run! And the Tigers in the national champ! I don't believe it! His first home run of the year! Holy moly! Oh, my!
The potential to be equaled but never matched. LSU, Warren Morris, 1996. Had goosebumps sitting here in this studio listening to a call of something that happened damn near 30 years ago. What magic awaits us tonight? The beauty of postseason baseball. LSU and Florida for the national championship. We are minutes away. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. It's time for Otterlocks.
Otterlocks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and often incomprehensible, the Ott Father himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Matt, I was in my 20s when that happened.
No way. I don't believe it. You were never in your 20s. There was never a time in the world where the Ott Father was a 20-year-old.
That was, I said in my 20s, okay? But that was when I can go from start to finish. They say, well, why'd you go? Why'd you come home? I said, okay, listen to what this guy sounds like today, Mr. Charles Hanagriff.
Yeah.
He's still there.
Yeah.
I want you to listen to what Hunt sounds like. So anyway.
And Hunt's only been there since Saturday morning.
Poor Hunt. And look, 8 days. So when you're on fumes, you don't want to deal with the people who are dealing with that second wave with a full tank. It's just not. It doesn't mix well. So anyway, hey, dogs real quick in MLB. If you're looking for stuff outside the Big Natty tonight,
okay.
Milwaukee is plus 150 at DraftKings. Colin Ray, average numbers, but so does Justin Verlander. Verlander's little branding overrated there. Same thing with Sonny Gray and Spencer Strider. Dog, Minnesota, plus 190 at DraftKings. So that one.
Okay.
And then late tonight, the Nationals, fresh off of their 2 out of 3 series win in Petco in San Diego against the Mariners. Luis Castillo's ERA has risen his last 3 starts. Seattle has not won. Split this one, though, Matt. Split it, half on the money line plus 215 and half run line plus 1.5 plus 105. So 3 dogs in Major League Baseball tonight. I don't like anything in this game tonight, but I will offer you some perspective. I am surprised that LSU is as big of a favorite as they are. I thought this was a pick-'em game, but the line tells me that, and it's settled at 140 now.
Yeah.
It got as high as 175 at one point. So after they officially announced Herd as the starter, it calmed down and went to 40. And I think the 40 is still built on the anticipation that Herd will throw in some capacity.
Skeens.
The other thing
Skeens.
is, I'm sorry, Skeens.
No, just
long
point
way,
of clarification. No, I got it. Just point of clarification. For sure.
Absolutely. The total interests me because 8.5 and 9 is where it started. It's all the way up to 9.5. Yes, they scored a lot of runs, predictably so. We talked about that win on the pregame yesterday. It's never been like that, where it's blown out that hard.
Yeah.
In 90% of the times, it's blowing in, but never out that hard. It's going to die down. The other thing to keep in mind, to start of tonight's game at 6 o'clock, you have the pitching from sunlight to the batter's box in the shade for at least 5 innings. So even one of the 2 games that's gone over the total, 2 of the 14 before last night, was 1-0 Florida, Virginia on opening night. So
all right.
I think it'll play fair. But that line might be moving up a little bit high.
All right, Otter, we appreciate it, man. Well, where are you tomorrow?
Tomorrow, Dozy place, right down the street.
All right, Otter, have a great night. Enjoy the game. We appreciate it. We're getting on out of here. LSU and Florida coming right up. Alondra Pauly, thanks. Y'all have a great night.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020. If you want to see 2020, call 924-2020 or go to williamsoneye.com. Call Dr. Blake Williamson. Let the Williamson Eye Center give you that free consultation where you'll come in, you'll sit down, they'll do the full evaluation. You'll sit with Dr. Blake, just like I did. I did this 5 years ago. And for a guy who could never see, I mean, I had contacts from the time I was in the 8th grade, glasses when I was in the 6th grade. But it was remarkable just to go through the process and to look at my options and to have someone explain to me what LASIK would feel like. I say it all the time. Dr. Blake is so good at what he calls vocal local. You don't use anesthesia when you're having LASIK, but the way he talks you through the whole thing makes something which could be very unnerving, very simple and very easy. Any reservations, just call the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.